yours. And here we go.
10, 5, 4, 3.
Call to me, lands far away.
Elves have forests to protect.
We need to build a wall.
Dwarfs their mines. Men their fields of grain. But we Harfoots have each other.
For I must now wander this wandering day.
We're safe.
You have fought long enough, Galadriel.
No.
Put up your sword.
The enemy is still out there. The question now is where?
It is over.
Nothing is over! Nothing! You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
Darkness will march over the face of the earth. It will be the end, not just of our people, but all peoples.
Everyone! I am sorry, but their time has come.
The past is with us all. The past is dead. We either move forward or we die with it.
This could be the beginning of a new era.
Away I must wander this wandering day.
To him finally being lionized in the prime and his prime. Fuck.
Do it!
Shit.
Just do it! Don't let your dreams Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true!
Luke went from being... Oh, no. Welcome, Slayer Nation. I have some great news for you today. I hope you're all doing great. Nope, that didn't work. One more.
You have failed me for the last time.
Welcome, Slayer Nation. I hope...
If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.
That is eating away at what you love in order for it to shine. And one man's vision is... Sometimes you don't have to make things better for them to be great again. You merely have to... Okay. Hollywood continues to slow boil the culture and crazy. Well, right now, Spider-Man actor Andrew Garfield has stepped up and he's fighting motherfucker.
I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
And unbearded dwarves, but Prime didn't stop there. They stapled in intersectionality, individuality, bitty-giddy-bee, bitty-giddy-boo.
So it begins.
At my signal, unleash hell.
gentlemen, George the Giant Slayer.
What's going on, everybody? We are back, and we are live from the Lone Star State, where we not only lasso the truth and skewer Hollywood sacred cows, but then we grill them up Texas style. It's so good to be here today. How are you doing? You know, it's our 10th show today, so I thought, we're going to celebrate. We're going to do something special. So I have something planned for you. The Oscars are back tonight. I know no one's going to watch them, but most of the movies, in order to qualify to be nominated, they had to hold tightly to the DEI holy woke scriptures. But Tinseltown not only lied to us, they lied to themselves, because there's more than one or two loopholes. And then I'm going to share with you one of my favorite series over the last few years, Shogun. We're going to talk about that, and then dip into some Hollywood insanity that I never saw before, never heard of it. But first, we're going to talk about All American Lawman. This is a new comic series. It's going to change the game. We're talking about heart, action, thrills, and character. So are you ready? Welcome, Slayer Nation. Now, our very first guest, he doesn't require an introduction, but I think he's amazing, so I'm going to do it anyway. This is a guy who embodies truth. He embodies heart, strength, and hope. He's faster than a speeding bullet. He jumped from the gridiron to Hollywood and then soared into all of our hearts. So give a big Slayer Nation welcome to the guy who stands for truth, justice, and the American way, the one and only Dean Cain.
George, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I see now why you have such a long introduction. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to have you here. I've watched you for years, and it's an honor. I love what you stand for, all your personal beliefs that you've shared with the world. But All American Lawman, it's grabbing me right here, and I want it. Yep.
It's a wonderful collaboration between myself, Gabe, Eltaeb, and Aikion, illustrator. It's a great throwback to the good versus evil, right versus wrong, family values, taking care of each other, standing up for right in the face of incredible odds, even though you're scared, courage, all that great stuff. And it's gorgeous, beautifully illustrated, and art's great. And I'm super proud to be part of it.
Wonderful. Well, let's bring him out. This is a guy who left DC Comics, everything when it went woke. Because we know, get woke, go broke. He not only colors outside the lines with his palette and principles, he adds a little bit of that extra red, white, and blue to make us all smile. The extraordinary and brilliant Gabe Eltaeb.
Oh, George, thank you. That was a magnificent intro. And yes, Dean did soar into my heart. Yes, he did. Yeah, thank you, man, for having me here. Hello, Slayer Nation. We're very happy to be here. We're very proud of what we're doing and humbled by the support, man. So I'm excited about talking about this today. It is, I told you before the show, George, the main thing that Dean and I, the main movie we were kind of referencing mentally for the tone of it was Romancing the Stone, which is 40 years old this year. Michael Douglas and the sultry Kathleen Turner. She was at the height of her powers there, right? She was like 29, 30 at the time. And it's just electric, the vibe those two had. We have it in our book between our All-American Lawman and Veronica. Is she a femme fatale? Is she his ally? We'll find out. You got to read it, though.
I can't wait. I've ordered mine, and we're going to go through all of that. Sindek, my brother, the editor for Slayer Nation, made a video. We're going to share that with everyone, too, so everyone can order. But first, you met this guy already. I know y'all had a chat on his show. You had a lot of fun. This is the guy who knows all the ins and outs of every comic panel, the deep lore behind every pixel and sci-fi blaster. Coming down from Nerdvana, it is the champion of geek culture, Nerdrotic.
Hi.
How you doing, Gary?
How you doing?
Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. It turns out it was my fault that we're late. So. Crap. But at least, hey, if I'd have known about that intro, I'd have felt better about it. But at least it didn't take as long to start as the State of the Union. So well done. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you here.
What is USC football going to do about the untimely passing of their coach, though?
I don't know.
Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, Riley. Yeah.
How embarrassing.
Well, before we get going, we have one more guest with us because we're having a few join us later. Now, fasten your seatbelts. This guy dodged bullets in Black Hawk Down, and he also battled side by side with Rambo and stood with the Transformers. It is the unstoppable force of nature on and off the screen, Matthew Marsden.
Thank you for having me.
Here.
How you doing, guys?
What's up?
Good to see you. All on a Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
Wonderful.
It's brilliant. What do y'all think? There was something we were talking about behind the backstage, and I was saying there's this crazy thing going on. I had, before we jump right into All American Lawman, because today are the Oscars, and I had called Gary this week. I said, I discovered this story, and it was Elizabeth Hurley's son just finished wrapping a film called Strictly Confidential. And he puts this Instagram post out, and he's like, oh, I'm going to thank all the production staff and everybody. And the first thing he says is, we all must worship Elizabeth Hurley first. And he filmed his mother, in a nude lesbian sex scene. And it's the second time it's happened in 24 months, where a father, Ethan Hawke, shot his daughter in their new movie in a sex scene while she was nude. And now his son is shooting his mother nude in the sex scene. Is that Hollywood?
That's Hollywood.
You wonder why me and Dean are out of there now?
Yeah, exactly, brother. I'm uncomfortable. I mean, gratuitous sex in anything is just not, I don't think anybody really wants to see that so much. I mean, unless you're watching porn or whatever it is. But I mean, I don't understand. I mean, as a father, it would be very uncomfortable for me. I don't get that. I mean, Elizabeth Hurley, look, she's lovely. There's no question, but her son shouldn't be, that should make him very uncomfortable.
No.
Oedipus, anyone? Oedipus? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was crazy.
As we were saying before, it's lazy storytelling as well. I mean, apart from being completely weird, right? I mean, why would you ever want to see your mom naked? I'm sorry, but that's all these people now. Everyone's like, oh, my eyes. Like, why would you ever want to do that? And why would you ever want to do it as the child in front of your parents? That's just so weird.
Well, I told you, Matthew and George, before the show, where I'm from, Mother Effer is an insult, but maybe not in Hollywood. Maybe that's a badge of honor now in Hollywood.
Compliment.
So, yeah. Oh, he's a real Mother Effer. You'll love him.
But see, that's where I see what y'all are doing. But that's why what y'all are doing with All American Lawman, it's kind of bringing back the tradition. It's not only fun. It's not only heartfelt and action-filled. But you're bringing back character. You're bringing back something to stand on, a foundation. And where did that start for y'all?
Dean, would you tell them? I called you up and told you my idea to do a 80s, 90s action movie starring you as a comic. And what did you tell me was important about the character, this character we created, Chris Tanaka, the values that you wanted in this guy?
Well, tons of things. And myself being a father, fatherhood is one of the biggest things in my life. Now, unlike Matthew, I only have one child. But it's being a father. I was adopted. It was my dad was the greatest force in my life forever. I could have gone all different ways, and my dad kept me on the straight and narrow. Just like Clark Kent, my dad was a farmer from South Dakota, actually, and instilled small town American values in me, and it was wonderful and great. Even though I was living in California, he brought those values with him. And what I wanted with this character was, I wanted a character who was good, good and like stood for good, the right things, who was would do whatever it took to do the right thing, even in the face of incredible danger or whatever, but also a caring father, a wonderful, I guess I don't want to give anything away, but a caring father, a wonderful brother, a wonderful family guy who had tremendous values, and would do the right thing in the face of evil, always, whether he was afraid or not, or what it might cost him, he would do the right thing. And the film that I really went and looked at and talked about first, because Gabe loves the 80s and 90s action movies and things like that, especially. And I was like, did you ever see Romancing the Stone? And he was like, oh yeah, it's one of the greatest ever. And that feeling that, in the midst of all that danger and things going on, having a sense of humor and, because if you really spend any time around law enforcement or military, they still have a sense of humor in the midst of all of this crazy stuff because they have to, or else it's too much. So these were some of the ideas that I talked about with this character. But Gabe, you got to run on this one.
Right. Yeah. So then I came up with a plot, my concept for it. I ran it by Dean. He loved it, turned it into a script. My buddy Akeon, he was an animator, illustrator for Marvel and DC for over 30 years. He's a master animator and illustrator. He illustrated it. I colored and lettered it. I had so much fun doing the snappy dialogue and stuff. And so it's thrilling. Like when you think of Lethal Weapon and the old good Indiana Jones and all that, that's the tone we captured here. And but we just went after it full force with our values intact. But you will never know that we're lecturing you or preaching at you. There's a message in it, but we put a lot of sugar to help the medicine go down. You're never going to feel like, and you shouldn't be naughty, because we don't like that. We don't do that kind of stuff at all. It really feels like the stuff we love. That's what comes out of us. Because to Dean and I, the most important thing is being father. That's my identity. I'm a grandfather now too. I know. I'm young. We're Mexican. We get started early. I'm a 45-year-old grandfather, literally.
Right, you don't look it. Well, you don't look it, but I think that's what it's like, Dean, what you were talking about is exactly what Gabe was saying. It's like you are Superman in that way. I mean, adopted, farming. Right. I mean, but it's your ethos. It's what you stand for. And when I was talking with Gabe in the beginning and I was looking at all American comics, I mean, we can see here as we go through it. I mean, the colors, they're not only vivid. Gary can talk about all that, but it just pulled me in. It reminded me of the comics that I read in my youth.
That's the thing. You look at the stuff that they're putting out now, and I can't understand it. I go to Comic-Con and I see some of these other comics that are out there and some of these things, and I'm like, what is that? I don't know what this is. But I see, All American Lawman here, and I know exactly what it is. Like I know exactly the tone and the tenor, and so proud of what we have here. I mean, I'm blown away by the images too. I mean, they did such a great job. Akeon did some great stuff. Of course, Gabe is a superstar, and it's just got that throwback, that wink and a nod in the middle of all the danger and all that stuff. It's just got that right feel to it. And I look at it and I read it and I feel warm inside.
Well, that's good. And I think it's the perfect answer to everything that's going on in Hollywood. I mean, like the Oscars tonight. We've been hearing about their new DEI rules for a long time. The diversity, inclusion, equity, how it originally was called DI, and now they made it DEI.
That's what I still call it DI.
Yeah, well, that's a good name. But you heard that they had the other day came out, well, there are loopholes. So any film can qualify.
Right.
I mean,
why put that in to begin with? I mean, just
for show.
What's right. Tell your story. We weren't trying, even in All American Lawman here, we weren't trying to make it diverse for diversity's sake. It just so happens that we have a whole bunch of just a range of characters because that's what the story dictates, and that's life. And it wasn't trying to make a point about X, Y, Z. And there's certainly no pronoun issues or anything like that in this novel. But I mean, it's just, why have those things? I mean, we're going to look back at this period of time in history, and we're going to be embarrassed that it ever took place. And if that isn't the case, then we did something wrong.
Yeah. God, I hope so. I really hope so. And it has to be really soon. It's gone on longer than it should have. And it's because of the COOF and the Summer of Love and that kind of reset what was already dying in the first place. But initially, I mean, this is DEI and them allowing those rules in, George, was initially appeasement. It's risk averse, so they just thought they'd do it, and they never probably thought they would have to implement it, but they were forced to implement it because they let that cancer in the door. And now all of a sudden we got some loopholes. Oh, whoopsie doopsie. We got some loopholes now. So Oppenheimer can, win some Oscars, because it probably wouldn't have been able to, especially with that cast. And I went over the Oscar rules, and I know you did, George. They're insane.
Oh, I have them.
Each corporation has those rules individually already. Wow. We have that Sweet Baby Ink thing going around, which is great. It's great that people are noticing that, but that's like one aspect of what is already there and been there since 2016, maybe even 2015. With the BBC, it's been there since 2012. So it's going to be really hard to fight this, and we fight it by their attrition. It's going to hasten the entropy of their industry. So it'll be really interesting to see the Oscars tonight and see if anybody gets on their soapbox, and if they don't, then somebody came and talked to everybody, which will be interesting.
That'll be good. You said that perfectly. In one way, if you think about it, it's like DEI has become an industry, though, in Hollywood. Oh, so they never want to, they say they want to fight racism, but why are you going to fight it when you got business after business making millions?
No, it's somebody pointed out in my chat the other day. It's the Jesse Jackson approach to activism. You know, activism is a business that needs to stay in business. Right. By the way, have you ever seen a happy activist? No, never. They're never happy. They don't want us to be happy. We're over here being happy. And you know what? Now a lot of us are like, fine, we'll go and make our own stuff and be happy. They can't have that either. And it's a good thing. So while they're fighting over their shrinking pie in Hollywood, there's going to be an explosion of independent content, and it's probably just going to stay decentralized. And I'm kind of for that. I'm absolutely for that. And unfortunately, like it or not, AI is probably going to help that until the robots rise up and kill us all. But
to the robots, look at this. It's like I pulled up just for a second, just some of the rules. So we can see the reason we need to look at these rules and the lie that they're trying to peddle is so we can appreciate how Dean and Gabe are fighting on the other side, bringing something positive. So you got evil over here trying to corrupt everything, and you have something good over here. But look at it. It's like A1, lead or significant supporting actors from underrepresented racial or ethnic groups. At least one of the lead actors has to be from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. This may include blah, 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 African-American, Hispanic.
George. Who is an underrepresented group?
Christians, conservatives,
Christians, white people.
Good point. Yes, they can make this list a lot smaller if they just flipped it around. You know, if they just said we want to make stuff less white, okay?
Yeah.
No more crackers.
No more crackers.
No more Christian crackers. That's your list. No, it's freaking ridiculous. And man, if you go every corporate website has a DEI page on it, like every single one. It's all out there. And if you dig far enough, and people are doing that now, you'll find videos where they are just happy to talk about this. They couldn't be, they're like, and all of a sudden they're not. All of a sudden they're trying to silence people. And, you know, if you really felt for these beliefs, truly you'd be shouting them from the rooftops, from the mountaintops. Now they're trying to, with Sweet Baby Inc., tried to shut people down. Right. And they expose themselves there, and it's great. I think it was going to happen. We were all warning this was going to happen. Matthew and Dean were warning about this stuff a long time ago because they actually saw it from within the industry. Nobody listened, and here we are. So it's great to be right. It really sucks that we lost pretty much everything we loved over this, and it has to be rebuilt. And it can't just be rebuilt overnight, you know. I think what the independent comics are doing, like the hero has been so, like specifically with comics, the hero has been so deconstructed. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to rediscover it at this point, and then build from there to reconstruct the hero, because it's so subversive, revisionist, and it's been pulverized. You know, it's going to be a very difficult job, and unfortunately, with comics, the market share has been with kids, which you need kids to read comic books. Like if you want to have a healthy industry that will last forever, you need new generations. And I saw the comic industry lose a generation when I was selling comics to gaming. Now they're losing it to manga. And it's important that you keep making them, but it's going to take a long time. Just go to your local Barnes and Noble and see where it's at right now. You know, the Dragon Ball Z creator just died. He just died. That blew up all over the internet. Like, I don't know much about Dragon Ball Z. My kid likes it. I sold it in my store and never read it, but it was, you see how impactful that was. Yeah.
But you see, they attacked him. They attacked him right after he died.
Sweet Baby Inc.
I know. Yeah. I was like sitting there going, what are you doing?
Thank you. No, thank you for taking your mask off. Thank you. This is why we need free speech and free expression. We get to know who they are. I think it's a good thing, and rest in peace, by the way. So,
Matthew, has it always been for you, Matthew? I'm sorry, Gabe, 1 second. Matthew, has Hollywood always been this way? And like Gary said, they just pulled their mask off? From when you started?
Well, I have a theory of why they do what they do, if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So in most jobs, you'll go out there and you'll work your way up, and pretty much you have an objective set of rules for why, or criteria for why you would move to the next level, right? If you're an engineer, if you don't do your job right, a building falls down, you're not going to get any more work.
A Boeing comes out of the sky.
Right. All that kind of stuff. So, but with acting, and Dean will tell you this because he's, people don't understand what it takes to get the lead in a television show, like what Dean had with Super, to get that Superman role. it is a process that you have to go through a filter, right, Dean? I mean, you have to go all the way up. You're battling, and then you finally get through. So that there is a filter in that sense. But the thing about Hollywood is acting is pretty much subjective, right? So, you know, you've seen actors and you're like, why are they even on a television show? They do not have any talent whatsoever, right? And there's a reason for this, because the great thing about the United States is also a little bit of a curse for the United States, which means you can walk down the street in Hollywood and you can have the guy with a cigar that says, hey, kid, I'm going to make you a star. And you're going to get in a movie. And you might have absolutely no qualifications to do that. All right. So if you imagine all these people in Hollywood going to their acting classes, right, which is like a counseling session. I think they're like counseling sessions, like support sessions for each other. Because as a British actor, you're like, all right, I've done my training. I'm never going back to class again. Right. That's it. I'm done. Right. But everyone's pretty much on a level. Right. And then why does that one person get the break? Sometimes it's luck. Sometimes it's things that are other than luck. Right?
Things that rhyme with luck, right?
Yeah.
that is true. So think about this. You've gone from nothing to being a multimillionaire overnight. Like literally it's overnight. You're being flown all around the world. You go into these great hotels. People are adoring you. And deep down inside, you know you didn't earn it.
Oh, interesting.
Right? It's not earned.
So
why can I just say this? Those people like Dean, and I'm going to give Dean his props. I'm going to tell a story about Dean Cain in a minute that I've never said. I'm going to give a story about him in a minute. But that was in an era where you had to work your way up and fight and fight and fight. And that role, like something like that, is so hotly contested across the board in so many different areas. I mean, you got to be physically right for it. You got to, physical. You got to look good. You got to be a great actor. All these other things come into that role. So that is why many of us that come out and talk like this are like, hey, listen, we earned it. Right. We earned where we are. So we're not going to back down on these things. But there's a bunch of people out there that didn't. So they have massive amounts of guilt. Okay. So they're like, oh, well, you know, I didn't really earn it. So let's raise these other people up. And we go, hang on a minute. They don't need raising up. Right. They're not like lower than us. Right. We're all equal. We're all fighting to get to where we need to be. And the best person will get the job. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter. That those things are irrelevant. And so that's why I think a lot of the time Hollywood is pushing this, right? They continue to push it. I had an incident where I had a producer say to me, come around to me and say, oh, I'm so mad. And I said, why? And they said, well, I've been told that I've got to fill a line producer job with someone who is African-American. And she said there's only one person that she knew of that was qualified for that role. And he was getting all the money in the world to go and do these shows. So he had multiple offers, obviously, because he was the most qualified in the role. So her boss said, hire the accountant.
What?
Makes sense.
And she said, but
wow, she
doesn't know the job. Just hire her. And so what happens then? She gets fired because she doesn't do a job properly. So it's all a complete disaster. It's imploding right now. I mean, we're seeing it because clearly they can't write. I mean, Madam Web is, it's such a disaster. And they're like, hey, listen, the director's a woman and the writer's a woman and the head of makeup's a woman and this, and it's just like, so we all know that what you have to do in life is hire the most competent person for the job, the best person for the job. And that's it.
Oh, bigotry. Bigotry.
It's white supremacy, right? Or what is it? Right. White privilege for me.
But Matthew, this is the culture of men and fathers and masculinity. Your dad tells you, hey, that's not good enough, Matthew. We're better than that. We're Marsdens, damn it. We don't do that. Your dad did that to you. My dad did that to me. My grandpa, Dean, everybody who had a good dad, uncle, grandpas, that's what men do to you. And to destroy the man, the father, all of that from society, smash the patriarchy, right? That's what leftists say. This is what you get. Oh, I want to be nice. Let's hire someone because they're Mexican or whatever. It's like, instead of just because they're good, it's like, I don't have any things like that when I hire for my company. Although when I found out Dean was a quarter Japanese, I said, you can't drive us anywhere when we're together. That was
That's
one
fair.
stipulation. So
It's worse if I was a Japanese
Can't do
woman.
math.
If I was a Japanese woman, no driving.
Right. I wouldn't let
Well,
him in
Dean,
my car.
well, Dean, we heard Matty. That was brilliant. That insight. Do you have from your side? How has Hollywood changed? Or do you see it the same way Matthew does?
Well, yeah. I won't be nearly as eloquent as Matthew was, but I just have seen.
Just because he's British.
Yeah,
It's all the accent, dude. I'm really dumb as a box of frogs. You know, I mean, it's
Yeah, well, I've seen. It's a weird thing because I come from the world of athletics. I was a football player, and as a football player, it's about meritocracy. There's politics in it, and there are certain players will get played because a coach favors them or whatnot. But if you work hard, you work your tail off, it shows on the field. It shows when you do your thing. At a certain point in time, they can't stop you. If you're just that good, they can't stop you from playing. And so you reap what you sow. And what was really frustrating for me when I got to Hollywood, and and Matthew's right about that audition process, man. To get a role like Superman, I had to go through, I can't even tell you how many auditions over and over and over and over again. I went through this whole, giant process where I was paired up with so many different people. I saw people that I recognized from this show, that show, whatever. But what frustrated me about Hollywood, and sometimes you're the right person for the role, sometimes you get it. You're always one of the top 2 or 3, and you're like, man, I almost got that. I almost did this. And it's frustrating. You can't see what it is, but it's not always a meritocracy, and that's what's frustrating. And when I played football, if you took a cheap shot at me, I got time and I'm going to get you back. And you know what I mean? You can do that. You can't do that in Hollywood. It doesn't exist. There's no justice. We call it field justice. There is no field justice. There are people who fail upward in Hollywood constantly, whether they're executives or who they might be. And it's really a frustrating place because it's not a complete meritocracy. But I think now with the advent of all the technology that we have, the ability for, a kid with a freaking iPhone to go out there and could just make a story. And ultimately that's what sells, a story. And you care about the characters. Like I watched, I don't want to pick on Zack Snyder or anything, but Batman versus Superman, I actually fell asleep in the first part of the movie. And because I knew the backstory, and even though it was gorgeously made and beautiful, but how many times can you watch somebody get thrown through a building? And by the way, I was thinking how many people are dying when you get thrown through a building. And,
right.
Superman's whole ethos would never, he'd stop the fight before anybody would get killed. He's too good. He would never let that happen. But at a certain point in time, you just don't care. You just don't care about it anymore. So the fact that like all these people can go out and make movies on their own, Gabe and I and Akion can go make this comic that we've made, this graphic novel. The fact that can happen nowadays, I think, is changing the game, and I'm really excited about that. That's what you talked about. I think, Gary, you started mentioning it. There's going to be this huge, huge influx of independent creators, and I think and somebody said it. It was Gabe. Who was it? Rick Ross that said that quote.
Rick Rubin.
So give the quote, Gabe. You give it better than I do.
He was saying when you make art, you make it for yourself. Don't try to validation seek and virtue signal. Oh, the audience will love me if I do X, Y, Z. Work your ass off, get good at your craft, and then make art you love. There's 8 billion people. People will find you if you're making something good. And that's what we've done here. Akion, and he shares our values. Our buddy, illustrator Akion. He's a father. He's a dedicated father. He's a patriot. He's a foreigner, but he's a patriot for his country. And he shares the thing that I love the most, that I love working with Dean, his work ethic. My grandfather was a cowboy too, back in the the 40s or whatever, and an entrepreneur. My dad's an entrepreneur. I come from men that sweat and bleed and work, and gave me a great life where I could be an artist. You know what I mean? But I still own my own business. So I need to make sure I pay that forward. There's so much was done for me. Dean has that in him too with his great father. Akion has that culture and character. And that's why we're able to make this stuff. You know what I mean? When these came in the mail the other day, I put a video on my YouTube. You guys should check it out. I think it's the biggest smile I've ever had in my life when I'm opening. These are the overnight samples I got. I just got 4. A couple of thousand of these are coming on a truck tomorrow, being delivered on pallets tomorrow. But when I opened these 4 overnight from UPS from the printer, I think my smile was 4 times bigger than my head. It's just so rewarding. And I'm so humbled about the people who have supported us to let us make beautiful art that's going to really entertain you first and uplift you. You know what I mean? So it's amazing people did this. But yeah, we make stuff we love with our values. People will find us.
Oh, I love
it. Gabe, watching that video of you looking at that stuff, when you started opening the books and like looking at the colors and how it was printed, I was like, God, I hope it's a big smile that he has there, because I could see your brain working.
Oh, well,
and I was like,
I worked at 2 different newspapers in college. I worked for DC Comics for 14, 15 years. I've been a professional illustrator for a quarter century. So there's a whole science behind how you get your colors on the computer screen and how you get them to translate into print, because computer screens glow, paper does not glow, and a lot of amateur colors, even at Marvel and DC, they don't know that, and the colors are washed out, and the printing is bad, and it just, when you see your work look like what you made at home, it's just thrilling. It's just there's the Bucky shirt, George, that you were saying you thought I
looked
Bucky's.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, oh man, he's from here, but no. Here it is, because you're gonna see the big smile. We got to turn up the sound.
You gotta see.
Where's the sound? Hold on. Let me get this. Where's the sound on this?
Yeah. So they overnighted.
Can you hear it?
Dune, All-American Lawman graphic that was right here in my hands. I thought these were going to be loose sheets of paper like samples. Now let's open this back without ruining books. So these I'm going to set aside. Maybe I'll sell these special since these are the first 4. But yeah, here we go. So undressing it slowly like a lemon. Some brutes. Well, my wife was filming. You always got to tease your wife. Right? Yeah, this is amazing. This is our James Bond homage cover. This is our vignettes of action and adventure. This is our blackout cover.
Oh,
and this is the cover by yours truly. And the 5th cover is not in here. I guess they didn't make a sample of that one for me to see yet. But
this is the moment.
Look at this. Primo, thick cover, beautiful interiors. Volume 1, Dangerous Freedom. Let's look at this. Oh my gosh, the guy knows how to color and letter. And his buddy knows how to draw real well. This is beautiful. Created by Dean Cain and Gabe Eltaeb. Written by Gabe Eltaeb. Illustrated by Activism. Colored and lettered by Gabe Eltaeb. Who's this Gabe Eltaeb fellow? He's quite prolific. And of course, color flats by Jose Marie Flores, my buddy, my friend of yours. This is nice. Nice stuff. Wow. Just absolutely beautiful. Love the fidelity on the color and the inks. You guys are not going to be disappointed. This is absolutely outstanding.
Gabe, what would have happened if you didn't like the colors?
I would have the printer redo it, and then we'd be behind schedule. But God is good. We got a great print. I'd never used this printer before, but the lady, I knew her, and other friends had used her services. And she has our values too, Dean. She's very conservative, and she won't publish or broker any deals of crappy, dirty books or anything like that. So it's great to be surrounded by guys like you, Akion, even my broker for printing. Everyone, it's just God's hand is what I always believe. I have another cover too. Those are not, we have a foil cover. Those are limited to just 500 copies. And I will never print them again once we have the 500. So if you want that, that's available too, bigmancomics.com. These, when you see these in real life, these things are insane, these foil covers. So, yeah, we're having a blast, man. It's so much fun. I did this for Marvel and DC forever. It was my dream since I was a little boy to work for them. And I got a job, and I did love working there. I was so proud to work there. And then it just started getting more and more woke. And then finally they asked me to do some stuff I just couldn't do. And I left. So thank all of you to support me, because
you have principle. That's what you did. You stuck by your principle, your character. That's rare. That's why I love having you on. To me, it's y'all are stars. I got that. But I respect who you are as human beings. I mean, we were talking about going back to what Gary said. They've destroyed everything. But you guys are rebuilding it. And you're doing it the right way. And that's the thing, you're giving the public back. You got everything bad over here going on in Hollywood. And the way Matthew was describing it. But what you're creating is you're blazing a new trail. And I think that's beautiful. So I want everybody, I've already pre-ordered mine. Go to Big Man Comics. Go to bigmancomics.com and get it. They have beautiful stuff there. Right. Get yours. Be ready. Be on the ground floor.
Right. And I'm going to, the semi truck is coming, delivering pallets of these things to Big Man Comics HQ, also known as my house. So I will be packing these up and sending them out. I think, Dean, you're going to come in sooner or later. We'll do the autographed ones when after the foil covers arrive and all that. But if you heard in the video, that's smack. These are thick. There's 110 pages of story and a few more pages of back matter. And I wrote it like an hour and a half, 2-hour action movie. That's how I wrote it. It's your classic 3-act structure, your 80s, 90s, Lethal Weapon, Indiana Jones, all that great stuff. And the guy our main character, he loves his son and his family. He loves his country. And the theme that is stated in this book, I won't spoil the story with this. It is, he tells his son at one point, you do the right thing. To be a man and serve God, you do the right thing, no matter how terrifying it is. That's the theme of this story, not spoiling anything. And you'll see, he has to stand up to ultimate evil and bad guys. Our villain is awful. He's a lunatic and he's a sadist and he's a killer. He's got some killers working for him, and it's appropriate. You could read this I'd read it to my kids are adults. I would read it to 8 and 10-year-olds because the death of the bad guys in it, it's like Star Wars and Indiana Jones. Stormtrooper gets shot, he rolls over. We don't see his pancreas fly and hit the wall. We don't do that in our book. We don't have sex. We don't have cursing. But it's action-packed. As an adult, you'll be fully thrilled like you're watching Star Wars and stuff like that. So don't think it's like just for little kids. It's not. They can read it. You can read it. You will absolutely love this thing. Special deal today. I will not limit how many you want to buy. Right? Feel free to buy 1,000 of these if you feel like it.
You got that. Everybody buy them. What did y'all hear? Because everybody get out there and buy them. But now I want to ask everyone, because we were talking about that Hollywood isn't a meritocracy. Gary, what did you think about Rachel Zegler beating Tom Cruise, Denzel Washington, and Keanu Reeves as best action star of 2023?
Wow, the People's Choice Awards is compromised. Wow, I'm utterly shocked that it wasn't the people who chose, or it was like it's obviously some sort of payback or they're trying to rebuild her career. It's weak. And it's like nobody cares about award shows tonight. Like the fact that we're talking about the Oscars, but it's like, nobody's really going to watch. Who's even hosting tonight? Is it Kimmel again?
Kimmel, I thought.
Yeah. Kimmel again.
He's so funny.
Right? If they actually cared, if they actually wanted people to watch, and I've said this before, and I'm not the only one, you get Ricky Gervais, Dave Chappelle, a few more comedians, and you roast every person who's won an award. It's just a 3-hour roast. It would be the most watched Oscars in history. It'd be hilarious. It would be Ricky Gervais's Golden Globes monologue, but for 3 hours. It'd be so good.
By the way, Gary, I've been trying to get a group together to do an alternate to the Oscars in the same time they do the alternate to the Oscars and the alternate to the Super Bowl halftime show. Right. So you just do a completely separate actual merit-based movie award. Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
With Ricky Gervais and Kevin Hart. I'd like to get Kevin Hart back after he got cancelled that once for absolutely no reason whatsoever.
It would be funny if you could pull something. It would take a lot, but if you pulled something like that off and just put it on YouTube, and it would get more views than the Oscars, that would be kind of funny. That would be hilarious.
I'd love to see that.
You're saying that weird Snow White girl beat Denzel for an award?
Then think
Denzel
about it.
Washington,
Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible.
Tom Cruise, Keanu Reeves,
John Wick 4. Wick 4, and she won for what? Hunger Games: The Ballad of Boredom and Bad Writing.
She didn't do any action. She's sang in the movie.
I'm not even criticizing her. I'm just saying, no offense, Matthew Dean. Denzel is the greatest actor of the last 40 years.
Equalizer 3 is good. That's a good movie. I like it.
Glory was a favorite of mine as a kid. Denzel could do no wrong to me. I think he's amazing.
Right.
Yeah, he's my favorite actor of all time. So I was honored to be able to work opposite him. It was incredible. But I've told you this before. The scene you did with Denzel in Out of Time, that's probably one of the best scenes you've ever done. I've told you this before. I thought you two were literally going to fight during the film of that. It was insane. The tension. You could feel how much they hated each other. But it was because he was so good. I give all the credit to him. They're just amazing.
By the way, great actors always give the credit to the other actor. Just saying, brother.
Yeah, that's character. It always comes back to character. It's not you build it brick by brick over time, and no one can take it away from you. But I saw Dean's face when he heard that. Yeah, she walked up on stage. She's like, but her speech is hilarious. She's like, I want to thank everybody because I love movies, and I love movies, and being a lover of movies, I love movies, and movies are movies. And I was like, there you go.
Spoken like a Hollywood actress.
If only she had a British accent, she'd have got away with it.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great. So are y'all planning for All American Lawman? I mean, y'all have this for long term. This is not going to be like a one.
This is volume 1.
I was took my bride out for breakfast. And I was telling her, I do need to end the pre-order campaign. Let the fans know, okay, if you ordered up till about now, I'm going to stop it for a minute and fulfill all those. You can still order it and then and just make sure there's a line of demarcation there. So there's a first printing. I over-ordered. We have thousands of books, but once the first printing is gone, those are gone for good. And it does say inside the indicia there, first printing. It does say that. Maybe I'll do a different cover and all that when these run out. But we'll make a note on the website in the future when you order, 300 left or 2,000 left or whatever we have left of the different covers. Once I get through the first orders, we'll make a note of that. But it's evergreen. We want to publish these forever. Dean and I have already casually talked, and I've talked with Akion about the sequel. That's already in the works too. And I would love to do as many as people will support. I've got ideas for at least part 2 and 3. And I would love to do 10 of these. Why not? This is the stuff I love. George, when your intro was rolling, you had all those action movie clips. Dude, that's my wheelhouse. I do a Wednesday night show called Double Impact on my YouTube channel, a live show. All we do is break down Lethal Weapon, Indiana Jones, Predator, all of it. And it's my good buddy, Jericho Green, one of the best improv comedians I've ever met in my life. And we make a joke of all of it. We love the movies, but we tease them and make fun of them. And he does the best Arnold impersonation. And we go into all that. And I love this kind of stuff. So I can keep doing these forever. I can do this with my eyes closed. I love this character, this Chris Tanaka character. I love him so much. And I've got a lot of other books coming from Big Man Comics. And Matthew, can I ask you this? Because I always see you say this thing on Twitter. And I feel like people don't realize the significance. You're always screaming like producers, money people, investors. We need this non-woke art. Please give us money, support us to do this. So do you have any concrete plans for that? Because I see you saying it, and I don't see the response being what I think it should be.
Yeah, well, I mean, firstly, I think that people that are following this channel and the audiences out there, they really have the power, right? And that's why I keep saying, you have to follow these accounts, you have to subscribe. And Gary goes on and on and on about that, right? What is your line, Gary, about all those people that haven't still clicked the button? I know you say
the 40% who haven't subscribed yet.
That is so important. I don't think people understand what a big deal that is. And all it takes is a click. I mean, and the reason why I go on and on and on about that is because you have to get involved. People have to get involved. You've got to get involved in politics. It is our fault that they are able to do this. It's just our fault. And people kind of go that it's like parenting, right? It's everyone talking on here about being a dad, and so many people are outsourcing parenting. They're outsourcing their politics now. And it's mainly because, we have lives and we want to get on with them and we're doing stuff. But there's, it's like the Eye of Sauron, right? Like that it never sleeps. It just keeps going.
That cannot be an excuse anymore, Matthew.
It can't.
You have 1,000 kids and you still have time to vote, and that's great.
All right.
I don't know how you have time to breathe. But no, that was my fault. That was my big awakening when my wife's salon got shut down and stuff, is I never paid attention to local elections in San Francisco because they were insane, but you still have to. These are the people that rule over you, unfortunately. And my solution was to get the hell out. But we need to do that. And it needs to start on the ground level. It needs to start at school boards. And you're starting to see school boards get flipped because every institution has been infiltrated. Absolutely. Every single one by the woke mind virus. And we just talk about it in entertainment where it's all fun and games. But it is important. It is important because if they do it here, they're doing it everywhere else. And this is where we have to fight it. So presidential election, it's great, but that's a figurehead. You need to get on the ground floor, find out who your local sheriff is, find out who your county supervisor is. And that's how it starts. Again, I didn't give a crap about that until 4 or 5 years ago. My mistake. Won't make that mistake again. Doesn't matter how busy we are. It's our freedom. We can't be too busy for our freedom, right?
No, never. You have to. The only cure for those who want tyrannical control is courage. I meet so many people every day who all they do is I'm afraid to speak out because I'm going to lose my job. I'm afraid to speak out because I'm going to get canceled. You went through that, Matthew.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, and I keep saying this on social media, last in the gulag is still in the gulag. That's where we're heading for. So it just depends on, and again, Gary's saying, I didn't care about that. That's great. It doesn't matter as long as you do now, right? And that's the thing about a lot of people will be like, oh, well, I feel it's like going to church, right? It's like, oh, I'm a sinner. No, go. Today is, you go at the earliest opportunity. But also, Stallone said, when we were doing Rambo, Stallone turned around to me. It's one of the most profound things that has ever happened in my life. Is he turned around to me? He's also kind of intimidating, right? He turns around to me just before the take and he goes, remember, this is forever.
Remember, this is forever.
I wasn't going to do it, man. I can't do Stallone. I can do a Trump, but I can't do a Stallone.
Oh, good Trump.
But that's all you get, man. That's
That's
it.
it.
Ah,
It's huge.
we're going to build a wall. Okay, we're going to build a wall.
I want to do it.
Wall.
I do a terrible Trump, and I want to do it so bad, and I can't.
Please do it. Please. You got the floor.
I can't do it at all. I'm terrible. I can do all kinds of voices. I can't do that one.
You went for it a little bit there.
He tried. But come on, it's all on the line. That's the thing is every day that we live our life, whether it's for our family, for our neighbors, it's on the line. You just need courage. You stand up. Right. You don't bow down. It's like I shared before. I was kidnapped when I was 7 years old. I didn't break for a year, and I was just 7. And because of that is why I'm here today. I refuse to give in. And you know who got me through it? I used to remember Superman, Batman. That's when I was, I'm in the back. It was the images because you're a 7-year-old. You can't go, hey, how am I going to fight the guy who's torturing me? No, I just kept thinking Superman, Batman, Captain America. I held on to those images. Wow. And we all have that. That's how we keep moving forward. It's just that people, I think we got too comfortable in it, and we have to get to a time where we get comfortable being uncomfortable again, just for a little while, and then push through.
And by the way, culture is super important. I mean, Andrew Breitbart said that politics is downstream from culture.
Yes.
And when it comes, with Stallone saying that to me, it really hit home. And it's true. Anyone that's done movies or TV, that is a slice of your life that is there forever. So my kids, my grandkids, my great grandkids, they'll all be able to look back and see that, hopefully, if the world is still here at that point. But like you said, what does Superman mean now? Like, what does that mean now? Now they're trying to change the meaning of what I grew up loving. I mean, I grew up loving those comic books. One of the first things that really influenced me, because I come from a really poor background, was watching Rocky.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And
Rocky.
going, in America, you can get a shot, right? You get a shot. That's what I was saying. It's both a curse and a blessing that you get your shot. If you work hard enough, you can do something. You can be somebody. And that is a message that is there forever. I just watched the Rocky series up to Rocky 4 with my kids, and it's still great. It's still got all these wonderful, wonderful messages out there. I mean, even, Rocky 4, which is not as good as how I remember it now, but I still love it.
The one with Drago?
Yeah, I still love it, but it's like living in America. I remember being in England going, one day,
right?
One day I'm going to be there.
My dad's from Libya. He emigrated to escape Gaddafi's socialist regime in the 70s. And he told me he would see America on TV, and he thought we all were like Boss Hogg driving a Cadillac with horns on the hood, and that we all had like 500 head of cattle. That's what he thought America was, And, he obviously it wasn't that way, but he tells me that was like a fun thought he had as a kid, that he would come here and be a big rancher or something like that.
But it means something, and he could, I mean, it means something, but what are we doing now? What are the influences now? Right. And going back to think about producers, the problem is not going to move. I asked Dean about it. I'm like, listen, brother, I want to do a movie with you. And he was like, right on. And I've got the
need a sidekick.
Okay, listen, let me tell you, this movie is absolutely brilliant. And I've had a number of scripts over the years, and this film is really, really good. Action movie in the genre of Expendables, but like it's a more serious action film, like a proper action film. But when you go to investors, they've already been hit up by a bunch of grifters that aren't in the industry. And this is really, really frustrating because there are investors that have certain causes. And if you want to get money off them, you can get money off them, but you've got to play to the cause that they want to. And that doesn't make for good art, right? Like you're saying, you've got to make a really good film, and it's got to be funded. And so it's a chicken and an egg scenario, because you need the money, but you don't want to make the crappy films that they make normally. Certainly Christian films and conservative films for the most part are just substandard. Right. They're not good enough, and they don't go to people like you, Gabe. They don't go to the people that really understand filmmaking, story, and say, hey, listen, we want to bring you in. I mean, Dean, I'm sure you've had that as well. I mean, it's very, very frustrating when you say, I just want to make something brilliant.
No, and that is the biggest frustration in the business. But I do feel like that tide is turning. I do feel like the pendulum is swinging right back, and I'm nothing if not an optimist. And so I feel like that's going to change, and I think it's changing. And you sort of see this sort of groundswell thing happening. You see things being uncovered that I knew it was like this, and then things are being proven to us over and over and over again. I just feel like, it's a time we're going to look back at and go, how could that have ever taken place? How could this have happened? How could we have been so blind? And I think it's things like, even like what Elon Musk has done with Twitter and X. That is one of the greatest things ever, because now you're not being silenced. You're not being held down or pushed back, or hopefully not. He's pulling back the covers and exposing what these guys are doing, and I think that's phenomenal. So I hope we look back at this time and go, that was embarrassing. Let's never let it happen again.
Hell no.
Yeah,
well, we have two more. We have two more people who want to join the conversation real quick. And before you get going, Gabe, 1 second. We have Little Platoon and Paul Chato who are coming on board because they want to join.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello, gents.
Hello.
Hey, and I don't mean the magazine.
Why not?
Always great to have you, Paul. How you doing?
It's always nice to be had.
Yeah, that's good.
What a great panel. It's been great listening to all of you. There's some interesting. So much. When you guys started talking about, we have trustee school boards up here, and they're infected with the left. But the thing that you don't talk about is that generally on the left they are activated to participate. People on the right want to make money, take their kids to Disney World, just live a life. They're not part of that activated mindset. It's not part of the culture. And the problem, at least up here, is, and I can't talk to you folks in the United States, is that we are now getting pushback from people, let's say, euphemistically on the right. I hate that term, but they're all nut jobs. So it's not it's not useful. So we need normal activated people on the school boards, not the right side version of the left.
Oh, you mean radicals?
Nuts.
You mean radicals? You mean radicals?
On both sides. That's
right. All radicals are bad. I don't care what side. You're radical. You don't think anymore. You have no brain. You just emote.
Yeah. Right. A return of common sense, because we've gotten so far away from it. So,
but we're not activated the way people in unions. I've been in unions. I was on a when I was young, I was working on a construction site, and the guy came up to me with a broken nose and said, "Young man, I'd like you to stop working so hard. If you'd like to, not have one of your arms broken, you'll slow down."
There you go.
Talking about unions, Hollywood, it seems like, is getting ready to go on strike again.
That's right.
Maybe.
Don't act so hard, Dean. Or maybe you'll have an accident.
Yeah. I fortunately haven't had that conversation. But if Hollywood's about to go on strike again, what's the strike now?
Yeah, IATSE. And the Teamsters have who stood by the WGA and the Film Actors Guild. Now it's their turn. It's their turn. It's their turn to stand with them. And I think the producers are going to cave. They're going to have to. They cannot afford another shutdown, and IATSE has them kind of over the barrel right now. They actually have a leg to stand on, because they could any amount of time. If it shuts down for a month, they're going to have to push everything out another year, and they are kind of screwed now anyway. So Dune, which is doing well, is going to be one of the bigger hits this year. That Deadpool 3, but usually they have 7 or 8. Remember 2019, $9 billion films. 7 of them, I think, were Disney. $9 billion films. Since then, there's been 6. Wow. There's been $6 billion films,
including Madam Web.
Madam Web is $1 billion for YouTubers. For YouTubers.
Yes.
And I just want to point out that Sydney Sweeney and Dakota Johnson, both their careers are going to be propelled. The only 2 actors who have their careers propelled from a flop, and their attitude towards it, which has been great. Outstanding.
I like how you say IATSE, like it's the game, instead of IATSE. I like it.
I'm American. So
who was the one that told that interviewer, Gary? Who was the one that told the interviewer? We said, "So you love Spider-Man? What are the 3 Spider-Man films?" And she
that was Dakota.
Dakota, and she went through them. She's like, "Spider-Man not coming." He's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Spider-Man Goblet of."
Here he is.
I was like, what the hell? And she's like, "I want to join Marvel." He's like, "Okay, what do you love?" Spider-Man Goblet of Spider-Man.
Yeah. No, she's all, I've seen 15% of a movie. She's honest. That's good. She also, to go back to your conversation earlier, she also banned her dad from any set where she's nude. That's normal. That's normal. A normal daughter. That's a normal person. Wow. Don Johnson's kid. That's who she is. So yeah, I think she's been great. I think what you're seeing a sign of is actors are feeling like they can start speaking their mind again, because they haven't been. They've had to toe the line and not speak their mind. And maybe that's how things change. I don't know. I mean, the Oscars can completely just ruin that tonight. We'll find out.
It'll be a joy.
Do you think Dakota Johnson would have been quite so open-minded and open with her thoughts had Madam Web performed just a little bit better, and if the prospect of a sequel hadn't been completely eliminated by the time she gave those interviews?
Sure, but that was like never going to happen.
You've heard her 50 Shades interviews. That's completely consistent.
Oh. Really? I never watched
it. Cheeky. She's super cheeky. She
is really cheeky. Oh, I love her to death. And then I saw her on SNL accidentally. She was hilarious.
Oh, I think they knew based on what I was told from somebody who worked at Sony, they knew this was going to be a giant piece of crap. And
why put it out?
Obligatory. You can't. Not what Warner Brothers is doing with tax write-offs is a loophole that you can't normally do because of contracts. This is as far as I know. Dean might know more, or Matthew, but like they have to put these out the way the contracts are structured. So but the thing is, like, she wasn't lying when she said the script that we shot is completely different than the movie that was put out. Like, it's a completely different movie. And Rothman just doesn't care. Rothman just like, if it's a piece of crap, that's fine. We didn't put that much money into it. Whatever. I hate superhero movies. He's always hated superhero movies. That's the guy running. That's the guy in charge of Spider-Man right now. And the only reason Spider-Man is good is because, I can't believe I'm saying this, Amy Pascal and working with Kevin Feige. That's the only reason they give a crap. They know it's their biggest brand. It brings in the most money, but all this other side Spider-Man stuff they can care less about. They put more money into marketing for Madam Web than they did in the actual movie.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah. Morbius was better than Madam Web, and
it was. They were both pretty funny, like unintentionally. I was laughing by the end of Madam Web, but I'm glad it came out. I didn't think people would care that much about it. I'm like, I'm going to do a video on this. Nobody's going to give a crap about this movie, and holy crap, man, it was crazy.
Were you only laughing by the end of Madam Web? I was laughing in the first 5 minutes. It was funny all the way through.
Well, you're smarter than me, but so,
I think it just sounds that way because of the accent.
He really is. And I was like kind of shocked at how bad it was, because I knew it would be bad, but I'm like, wow. And then about halfway through, we started cackling, and then when the people behind us, who were the only other people in the theater, left, we really started laughing. So it was pretty fun.
We have a couple of super chats for the panel, so I wanted to get to them before. I don't know the time constraints when y'all are gonna, when y'all are leaving, but I wanted to make sure that we read them and have any questions. So let's bring them up. Mexican Iron Man, which are the ones we have for the panel? Okay, well, those are the membership ones. Masturbator, yeah, great name. Wow. Thank you for the membership. Yeah.
He typed that with one hand. You know that?
Yeah.
Talent.
Thank you for the membership. Olaf, another great panel. Gary's not late. Well, yeah, that's good. I always love having Gary. Thank you, Olaf. Eric K, member for 2 months late, and Mexican Iron Man's fault. Always blame him. It is his fault. But I love him anyway. No, it isn't. Mexican Iron Man, he gifted 10 Georgia Giant Slayer memberships. Go grab him. He's a wonderful man. And then we have GJJ, member for 1 month. Thank you, GJJ. We'll see you again at the next membership stream. Olaf for 10 euros at 10 live streams. That's call for celebration, George. This stream is now my second mandatory Sunday stream when I try and make sure I'm home in time. We'll see you again next week. Thank you for coming, Olaf. Mr. Buttcrack Media gifted 10 Georgia Giant Slayer memberships. Go grab them if you haven't. Pick them up so you can be at our next live stream. GraphWeb for $2. Cancel Disney Plus. Amen.
Yep.
They just lost. I think it was, what did they lose? Was it 1.4 million more subscribers last quarter?
Yeah, the last calendar year, they've lost over 30 million subscribers.
Oh. 30 million. And now they're going into India. But I remember reading their plan last year. They were going into India, but they were going to offer it at such a rate. They're going to lose money no matter how many.
Yeah, they're not making any money.
Man of War 665.
That's how they lost so much, isn't it? To begin with, the first massive subscriber loss was Indian cricket rights, which they decided not to renew. They lost millions. It generated bad headlines, and so now it sounds like they're thinking, well, we'll actually pay a lot of money to put it on in India, but at least we'll, counter some of the headlines with subscriber growth. It might lose its money, but
I can no longer watch my favorite team, the Punjabi Vikings. It was like,
That was History Channel. Men of War 665, neighbor of the base, courting false valuation through false virtue. Do we need to teach Dean his ESGs?
I think no ESG.
It's crazy. Steel Leg of History, be blessed. I just hit 300 subs and 600 watch hours. Go check out Steel Leg of History.
Hell yeah.
You, my friend.
Well done.
Keep grinding. Gary's the one who got me started on YouTube. He kept saying, get out there if you want to do it. If you have the passion, get on board. So if you have it, if you love it, have something to say, start a channel.
Have fun.
GraphWeb for $2. Please, for Pete's sake, cancel Disney Plus. I think that's the consensus.
Yep.
Cancel Disney Plus. Steel Leg of History for $10. George, I can't thank you, Gary and Dean and Gabe. You all have shown me so much kindness whenever I talk to you, George. You and Gary, you two always said, just go for it. Now I'm at 300 subs and 600 hours. Well, hey,
yeah. Keep going.
Well, if you want to take over my channel, I'm tired.
Well, I gotta tell you, I'm a huge fan, and you do some of the best improv, Paul. I found your channel like a year back, and it's
Paul's
hilarious.
a legend of improv and comedy.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I did. My daughter. I don't mean to interrupt. My daughter's a stand-up. She's winning all the roast battles in Hollywood.
Wow.
And we did the Groundlings together in Hollywood. So I love improv and all that too. I'm a huge fan of it. So I love your fake phone calls with executives. Those have me howling when you do them.
I just try to have fun.
Canoe Head. I miss Canoe Head.
There he is. Where is he? Dean, you don't know him, but this is me, Canada's
Gary's got a Canoe Head. Oh,
yeah, he's got one too.
Oh, yes.
That one.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
I've got to do some
Canada's
research.
aluminum head crime fighter.
Cool. That's brilliant. Big Raj for Canadian 199 super sticker. Thank you very much, Big Raj. We got Bredica 6 for $2. Wow, you guys are great. You literally have Superman on. I know.
Yep.
It's Superman.
Literally.
But the thing is Dean actually embodies that. You listen to his story. That's the beauty of it.
Well, I do believe in truth, justice, and the American way.
That's
Hell
right.
yeah. Not they dropped that recently, I'm like, what? When I read that, I'm like, it's Superman, for God's sakes. How are you? And then they made his son gay and did this whole, I'm like, what happened?
And then Gabe left.
Yeah, I didn't want to work. You guys call me uptight. I didn't want to work on a book where an underage kid's sexuality is part of the focus. That made me uneasy.
I don't blame you.
Something about underage kids and all that. It's not savory to me. So no thanks.
Yeah. Thank God. But I'm glad you did, because now we have all American Lawman. Right. And let me just finish these. Any questions? And we'll just, before we all go, we'll show it again. Mexican Iron Man for $10 just ordered the book. All American Lawman and Dean Diaz shirt. Love the design. How did
we show that on my Twitter? I was at the t-shirt printers local, and I was looking at the proofs. They were coming off the press. It was amazing. But in the book, there's a fun moment where he gets this Dia de los Muertos t-shirt that he kind of wears, and we decided to make it a merch item that you can get on the website.
Let's see it
again. Sorry, I'll bring it up again. But yeah, in the book, he ends up wearing this shirt for funny reasons. It's just this Dia de los Muertos. So if you look at my Twitter, whatever, I was actually at the local t-shirt printer and picking those up, and some other shirts. Just awesome stuff. But yeah, I'm really happy. All the merch is going to be here within tomorrow and the next day and all that. But
wonderful.
Can't wait.
Yes. Ann Neary for 25 Canadian. She sent a super sticker. Thank you, Ann. And we got Good Logic for $20. Awesome panel of folks who fight against corrupt culture propagandists. Yes, they do. Gabe, Nerdrotic, badass former Brit, and the greatest Superman ever. Great work, George. Stand strong against woke. Y'all watching need to support them. Absolutely. These guys are amazing. Yep.
Sorry. No,
No.
I'll let it go. I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
Okay, no. Limong Bear, member for a month. Cain for VP. Love you guys and hail Chad. Hey, there you go. You got to call Trump.
Yeah, you tell you what, I'd get some stuff done.
Hell yeah, you would.
Hell yeah.
Politics is hard.
Come back here and be the governor in California, please.
California.
Kind of a failed state.
Kind of tough to get anything done there.
Vote
Got
for
that
Steve Garvey.
supermajority in the legislature.
You got to
I
get
now live in
Bruce.
Nevada.
Oh, much better. Much better. I mean, come on. I don't understand how anyway, that's a whole other subject. We'd have to have you back. How gruesome is in California.
Oh, yeah. Killing it. He's murdering the place.
Sophie Penn for $5. Is that Penn? What? What is that currency? Penn? What currency is that? Penn. Anyway,
I just say Martian pesos.
okay, Sophie for 5 Martian pesos. Hail everyone. Love everyone here. Can I know what your zodiac signs are? Trying to make a point to Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. Hail the 199 in fellowship. Whoever. Leo? Gabe?
I'm Leo.
Leo's, yeah. That's right.
That's right.
Matthew's like, it doesn't matter.
Fishy. Pisces.
Oh, no.
What do you mean? Oh no! So we said, "Oh no!"
Oh,
The
no.
most
My wife's
disappointing of
Pisces.
the.
It's all right. Yeah, it's all good.
I think I'm a Libra, and that basically means everything I say is fair and balanced, right?
I don't know. My son's mother's a Libra, and I'm not sure that's fair and balanced.
I'm in Aries.
Oh,
I thought in Canada they had different. I thought you were a beaver. I thought Canadians had that
different zodiac signs.
Yeah.
What is it? It's like
Lumberjack,
beaver, Wayne Gretzky,
Canadian
right?
bacon,
Trudeau,
Sasquatch,
maple syrup.
yeah, that's it.
I'm a Cancer.
I'm a typical Aries. I've started many businesses. I'm entrepreneurial. I'm a go-getter. I'm your quintessential Aries.
Oh, cool. I'm a Cancer, so we got everybody here. Jay Bling for $5. Didn't Batgirl essentially have the same budget as Madam Web? Makes you wish Shoney had a Zaslav to can the movie. Yeah, I really had a lot of hope in Zaslav, but he's kind of disappointed. Anthony Garino for $2. The Batman is really a documentary on the elite.
The Batman?
The Batman.
That's the Pattinson one?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet.
Terrible third act.
Great first hour and 40 minutes.
Really good, like impressive. I was shocked. It's one of the best soundtracks too. Got to give it up for the soundtrack, but the third act is garbage.
After an hour and 35 minutes, just stop watching. You'll enjoy it.
Perfect.
Jason Norris Rex became a YouTube member. Thank you, Jason Norris Rex. And I think that about wraps it up. No, the Random Man for $2. Dean, you are my favorite Superman, only behind Reeve.
Yep.
Christopher Reeve is my favorite as well. That's who
I miss him.
When people talk about Superman, I think of him.
Yep.
First and foremost. In fact, I played my character based on how he played it because on our show,
Chest
Superman
out.
was the disguise.
Chest out, stomach sucked in.
That was 26. I didn't have to suck in the stomach.
Yeah.
57. Let me suck it in a little bit here.
Now you're sucking in tacos and beer, right? You're sucking that in instead.
Hey, man.
I love that Superman. That was great.
Oh,
And, Dean, yours were great too. I mean, very reminiscent of the, what you think of as a real Superman, because many of us on the channels, you probably don't listen to all of us. We're complaining about all the superheroes generally always being in their superhero form. Yet when I was reading the comics, the superhero moment was the thing you were anticipating. You saw, Superman as Clark Kent. He was doing his shit. And then you anticipated Spider-Man. You anticipated when Batman would solve the crime. Or
when the Hulk would Hulk up.
Those were the comic book writers in the 60s and 70s where I was collecting comics. They knew that was the payoff. It's not a hard thing to do. So they kept, Superman as Clark Kent up until the penultimate moment where it was required. And that's what your show did. And especially the original Superman did. And I'm so just and Iron Man too. I mean, and his shit was always failing.
It was great.
Yes. Remember when he had to plug in? Remember when Iron Man had to plug into the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had that long extension cord. It was
long time.
It was like a USB and he had to flip it,
So it's like Biden.
Biden.
Yeah, except it's Adderall
cocktails,
instead of
Adderall,
power,
drugs.
What's the difference? Yeah.
It's
Dean was trying to say something.
No, I was just going to say that I always fought for that on the show when we were doing the show. I didn't like Superman walking around, talking, doing stuff. He comes in, does the action, and gets out. And, and they would have him do too many things. I'd be like, can we not have him give speeches? Can we not have him do this? Because he's the man of action, and he only comes in when it's time to do the action stuff, and then get out. That's the thing. And so because they were always trying to put more Superman on the screen, but not doing super stuff. And I was like, put him in the costume, does his thing, gets out. Maybe help a kid out of a kitten out of a tree or something and give to a kid and then take off. Don't stand around for 15 minutes and hang out.
That's right. Would you like a blow dry with that? I'm gone.
Well, Dean and Gabe have to get going. Do you want us to show the video that we put together for you before you all go? Okay. Here we go. No, not that one. I have it here. No, not that one. Here we go. I'm going to blow it up because we have the music for it.
And your brother did this, George?
Yeah, my editor, Sindek, my brother. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I saw this.
Right.
Time to fight. I can do all the sound effects.
We're good.
That's right.
All right.
I can contribute.
Hey, brother, I said thank you, dude. I was really thrilled. I didn't know you were going to do that when I sent you that art over there. And
no, he loved it.
Right. And for those who run over and order now, they exist. I know with crowdfunding, people have been burned. Takes forever to get books. Ours are done. We made our promise. We promised you we'd start shipping them by the end of winter. So we got like 2 weeks left to start shipping these out, like we said we would. And they exist. A big truck will be delivering pallets of this stuff to me tomorrow. And I'm going to start packing and all that. And it's just an honor. I'm humbled because, as Matthew and everyone here always talks about, Dean, we need to make art that isn't beating you over the head with the right and we hate the left. No. Just fun, inspiring stuff that's common sense, down the middle, those values that we love so much. And I just can't thank you guys enough for making this a real physical object. It's just a thrill. Thank you, guys. Please go get it today.
So thank you. I say that video, even though it was much still images, I felt like I was watching something that was moving and happening.
Right.
Maybe it was the sound effects. I don't know.
It could be.
I think it was the sound effects. Yeah.
There was one guy in there that looked like Lee Marvin. I thought, hey, that's pretty cool.
I miss Lee Marvin.
There's a lot of winks and nods to 80s and 90s action movies. I love when the bad guys are chasing him with the Jeep. That long gun? That's Lance Henriksen's gun from the Van Damme movie where he chases him down.
What's talking about? Not Time Cop.
No. Lance it's the most dangerous game, but it was a remake, and it was John Woo directed it. Takes place in like Louisiana.
Oh, I know what you're hard. Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
Anyway, Lance Henriksen has this insane pistol that's like a foot long. So there's all kinds of little winks to action movies in this thing. So it's really fun stuff. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming. I mean, you honored us for being here, Dean. Gabe, you are welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Hard target. It's hard target. And Gary, thank you for coming. I know you have to go as well.
Yes.
This is amazing. So we'll continue our talk. If y'all want to share anything with everyone, go ahead.
I just want to say, first of all, thank you for having us on. We're very excited about this. Matthew, you are a legend, my friend. God bless you. Gary, great to see you. And I just appreciate being here with y'all. And it's let's fight the good fight.
Nice meeting you here.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I like this future of marketing cool stuff. Normally you'd be stuck on The View, Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there before. Before they got political, I did The View like 6 times.
Really?
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
They haven't invited me back on lately. It's
Weird.
I wonder why.
Here's the thing. I'd go on.
You would
But
go
still-
on? Well, because you fight. You're a fighter.
Damn right.
Selling
Oh, yeah.
comics though on The View, I don't think is quite the right skew.
Not the right
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Go for it.
Hey, Joanne Bear, Joy Bear. Do you like comics?
Joy Behar.
Behar. Yeah.
Gary, you have anything you want to add? Where you
Yeah,
what you doing?
in a couple hours, I'm doing my paranormal show, Forbidden Frontier, with Mike Barra. He used to be on Ancient Aliens. He's a good guy, based as hell. And then I'll be joining Film Threat right after that for their Oscar coverage.
I'm going to be watching.
Yeah, I have my tuxedo ready. I'm
have
ready
it
to
on?
go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then tomorrow, I can't say specifically. George knows.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, pay attention to my Twitter. I'm joining another YouTuber on a pretty big appearance on a pretty big.
Gonna be big. Gonna be huge. Watch. We all got to support.
I gotta
Gary.
wait for the other guy to say it first because it's his deal. So
Hey guys, can I just say something before the boys trip off somewhere else? So years ago, and this is why I wanted to say hello to Dean, because I did want to continue this story because I'm going to embarrass him in front of everyone, but it's not embarrassing. It's not really embarrassing. So when you go for auditions, normally there's several levels, right? Like you've got like the cattle call with everyone else, and then the next level up is you go to producers, right? So you're in a very small group of people that go to producers. And I'd come over, just done Black Hawk Down, a bunch of other things, and I was in Warner Brothers. And I mean, obviously, I knew Dean's career, right? I mean, like everybody else did. And I was in Warner Brothers, and normally in that, so I'm very much of the idea that if you go up against someone else as an actor, as Dean said earlier on, it's like maybe you're the right guy for the job, maybe you're not right for the job. You know, sometimes though it'd just be a look, especially when you get to that level, because there's only maybe 3 or 4 guys that are in that little group. And so I'm not very competitive when it comes to that. I'm like, all I got to do is do my own stuff. And if I get the gig, I get the gig. If I don't, I don't. But not all actors are like that, right? And I was in one of those situations. There was 5 guys in this time, at this time going for this role. And some guys will game you, right? They'll try and psych you out and they'll be assholes, right? And I'm sitting there in Warner Brothers and Dean walks in. And he walks across, and then you could see all the women, right? The heads pop up from behind the cubicles, right? Like Dean's in the room, pop, 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 pop. And I remember, Dean, you said hello to every single one of them in that room and spoke with them. And that's when I didn't know you did football, and you were telling them you just watched I think it was probably a Monday or a Tuesday. You just watched a game at your of a team you used to play for, and you were so nice to every single person there when everyone else, all the other actors were in their own world, right? You took time out for fans. And I always tell my kids the measure of a good person is doing the right thing when no one else is watching.
Yes.
So I just wanted to share that because I've been in the room 1,000 times with different people and they've been absolute dicks. And you walked in and you were kind to everybody there. And I think that is, a lot of people don't know that, because a lot of people watch these things and they'll hear what you say. But this is back in the day. This is before all this crap had come out, before all the woke. And you could have been in there. And I've worked with people that like it, that are complete divas and assholes. And you took time for every single person in that room. And I just thought that is a quality human being. And years later, when I saw that, we have the same values, that was a big thing for me, because you look and you go, who's going to stand up, right? Who's going to stand up for what's right? But I wanted everyone to know, and it stuck with me, right? Because you see certain things happen and it sticks with you. And that stuck with me. I can't even remember what color jacket you had on because
Wow.
it was so weird to be in a Hollywood situation where, listen, you get that role and you're making millions of dollars. Right, so it's very high stakes. Normally, it's roles that you really want, and you're a professional, but you were really courteous to everyone. And I just think that everyone should know that because, I don't know. I'm presuming you like that in the rest of your life, but I want people to know that that was my experience when I first came over to the United States, and and saw you, and I thought that was kind of amazing. So
get a room, you two.
No, come on. All right, actually, he was a dick.
Hero worship. It's a little bit of hero. Nothing wrong with that. When you meet good people,
yeah,
you remember them. Bad people, that's the thing. They think we all will know who they are. I think they're gone the next second out of the brain. Good people.
Matthew, I'll delight you on Dean's behalf. Yeah, we're doing business together as partners, but we're actually friends. We talk and text and all that. And off air, 100% the same dude. Right. Genuine, honest. You would never know he was on
embarrassing him.
TV, movies, played for the Buffalo Bills. He just acts like one of the guys. He was at my wife's birthday party this last summer, and he met my childhood friends who were there. And we took a photo together. And he's got my best friend from childhood in a headlock, knowing the guy for 30 minutes. Just a regular dude, like completely regular, down-to-earth guy. So what you see is what you get. And that's why I love working with guys like him. And you guys standing up for what's right. The more I get to know some of you guys, like, okay, these are my kind of guys. My circle is small. You can work with me. I find out you're a dickhead or whatever, you're done. I don't have a problem cutting people off if I think they're bad people. So, confirm it for you, Matthew. Off the air, same thing. So
amazing people. Thank you for coming, man. When I told my mom, we're
You're
coming,
legend, Dean.
I told my mom,
I want to kiss his ass a little too. Can I get some in there?
You want to go in?
I got chapstick. Hold on.
Red, white, and blue. No, Dean, thank you for coming. When I told my mom, she called the entire family. First thing she said is, "Do you remember George used to watch him? But when I was a little kid, I watched the original Superman."
Thank you for that.
Tried to
watched it
fly.
when you were a little kid.
Hell yeah!
Hey, dude, there's still stuff in the tank, right? We're still doing more. So
Damn right.
We're
There's
doing
a lot more in the tank.
That's right.
We're just getting started, Matthew.
50s is the new 40s. Yeah.
Damn
That's what
right.
I heard. So I'm telling myself every day.
That's what Biden keeps trying to say.
Yeah, right.
Well, he's not saying that, is he?
Guys, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Take care, everyone. Little Platoon, you rock. Paul, you're an asshole, but I love you. Matthew, finally streaming with Matthew for the first time. We got to bring you on FNT soon. So take care, everybody. Thanks, George.
Absolutely. My
guys,
pleasure.
good luck with the book.
Yeah.
Dean.
Thank you guys.
Have a
Appreciate
wonderful
it.
day.
Bye,
Pleasure.
Dean.
Matthew, we'll speak soon, brother.
Pleasure. Wow.
George, would it be all right if I stuck around for just a little bit longer?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I had something I
Matthew?
wanted to show you guys, but I don't know if it's it was a video I made with my friend Jericho. It's 3 minutes long. If you don't want to do it, I understand. But I speak for I go and do speaking and stuff. I spoke at the San Diego Gun Owners Association last week, and this was a little video I did. It's funny. It's improv comedy. But my point of this was the speech I gave is why art and entertainment are important to your Second Amendment rights, but we can make it broader and say why they're important to your culture, politics being downstream from culture. And if you're good at your craft, you're good at making comic books or acting or singing or dancing, then you can get that message, and the messages get into the subconscious and they persuade people, and then hopefully they'll live and vote accordingly. That's a big part of my mission. You know what I mean? I want my art to be good enough that it's seamless and you don't realize that, oh, this is a message. I don't ever want it to be heavy-handed. But you remember that truck that drove off the bridge in Louisville last week, and it was dangling there, and the firemen had to go on like a crane, and they go down. I tweeted out a photo of that live rescue. I said, I wonder if the person in the cab of this truck was concerned about the diversity of the rescuer here. You know what I mean? Or did they just want the best person to fucking save them from imminent death? I have a 3-minute video. If you don't want to show it, that's fine. That might be too long for your show. But
I actually do have a video on my channel where an EMS person arrives just in time, but first has to read a land acknowledgement, and then has to go through a DEI checklist.
So you were on my vibe too, same vibe.
And then by the time I finish it, he's dead. And go, lost another one.
I haven't seen that one yet, but I told you I do that movie review show on Wednesday nights called Double Impact. But George, I do another show that's recorded with my good friend Jericho Green. He's a great comedian, improver, called Datitude. It's a new show we debuted, and it's about being husbands and fathers and businessmen and pushing this stuff in culture and not hating the people that are doing things wrong or whatever, because we're not perfect, but trying to figure this mess out. Because people are suffering on the left, on the right. They are miserable people right now. Divorce, all the stuff is just terrible. And we're successfully married and very happy guys, me and Jericho. And we look at family members that are divorced, and it's family focused, this show, but it's a lot of improv comedy. So we look at all this stuff and diagnose it. But Datitude, if you guys want to subscribe to my YouTube, you will love that show. It's funny. We focus it on comedy, but really exploring what it means to be a father and husband to us. But we're learning as we do the show too. We want a lot of feedback, because when I look at like broken homes and divorce. I don't know anything about that. I've been married 27 and a half years. I
Thank
can't
God.
to divorce court. So I want people to tell me, no, Gabe, you're wrong about dating because of XYZ, and it's different nowadays. And I want to learn, because there's people I love desperately that are suffering through all this stuff and child custody, and I hate it. It really hurts me badly when I think about it. So is it cool?
So that's good. We'll share it. Yeah. We'll play it.
I
Play a
put
piece
it
of
at the bottom. What else do I do to show it?
Where
do I do
is
anything or do you play it? Okay, this is our show Datitude. This is a 3-minute clip of the rescue. What would happen if the man dangling?
Does it have music?
Yeah, it has diversity higher.
Yeah, we got to kill the music. Yeah,
it's copyright free. That's from
okay. Go ahead.
I downloaded it from YouTube's copyright free.
Cool. Go ahead.
So, and this is all improv comedy. I want to impress Paul because I love his improv. I love his improv chops. To save him instead of whoever was most qualified. Datitude investigates.
Hey, excuse me.
Yes, sir. Are you all right? Are you alive, sir?
I'm good. But before we get started, I need to know.
Yes.
What are your pronouns?
What do you mean? I'm here to rescue you. Is the cab stable?
I'll go first. He, him. Yours. What are your pronouns?
He, who? What are you talking about? Is the window? Is it cracked, sir?
Yeah, the window's fine. Are there any people of color up there who can rescue me? I see a lot of cisgender white males.
Well, my name is Eric. I'm Irish Italian. Julio is Dominican. I think that's like black and native islander. I'm not sure. Do you want to talk to Julio?
Send down Julio. I don't want to be rescued by a cisgender white Trump supporter.
Sir, the cab is swaying, and I think I hear the glass cracking under your butt. Are you sure you want me to get Julio?
I know it's swaying. I've already shit my pants. But I repeat, I do not want to be rescued by a cisgender white male. Ew.
Sir, I've been doing this for 17 years, successfully rescuing people from emergencies. Julio has been here for 2 weeks, hired on our diversity program. He's a nice kid. I think I should do it. I'm coming down, all right?
No, stay up there. You are clearly over 6 foot with muscular definition. I need a diversity hire or I will die.
Listen, Captain, listen, this guy doesn't want me to. I know. He wants Julio. Julio's not here? He called in hungover again? Gosh, fucking damn it. Hey, listen! Julio's not here right now. I gotta come down. I could see it fraying. I could see pieces of glass falling out of the cab.
No, let me die. Unless you have a DEI hire, I will die here. Thank you.
Well, can you at least give me your wife's phone number so I can let her know that this was your choice, sir?
You mean my life partner? I do not want to use archaic titles like husband or wife. She is my partner. We are equal. Actually, she's better.
Sir, it's the cables are disconnecting the cab from the trailer. Sir, please.
Call her my life partner or let me die.
Oh my God, it's falling apart. No! And see.
Black Lives Matter!
Splash! Oh.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's here.
I love doing improv. Jericho is the best improver I've ever met, and I took the groundlings in Hollywood. When he said Black Lives Matter at the end, I wanted to pee my pants, dude. He's so funny, that guy.
So did the guy get rescued? Did the guy get rescued?
I don't know. He did go out like a champ, though. Black Lives Matter.
No, not your guy. The real guy in the truck.
You know what makes it even funnier? Not funny. They did get rescued, but it was a woman.
Because then it would be really black.
It was. He hadn't. Yeah. No, they got rescued.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, I didn't think about that, Paul, but that's true. That would be awful to make a joke.
That'd be awful.
It was a woman driving, and ironic. It's like Women's History Month, so there you go. But yeah, so that's funny. We love it. We do a good job on it. But that's my point, Paul. Everyone with entertainment. We need good entertainers to get, because look, what did I do in that clip? I made you laugh, but what I did was I effectively ridiculed diversity, inclusion, equity nonsense. So now you're persuaded that I'm right and this stuff is bullshit. And that's why we need good art that sends positive messages and fights evil. I'm not a fight against fighting liberals, like whatever, people could be left wing, but DEI, socialism, no, that shit is actually evil. We need to stomp it out, and we can do it with humor, we can do it with action, all that stuff. So that's what I just want to share that. Subscribe to my YouTube, check out, where did George go? Is he gone or?
No. He's I accidentally, he's trying to get a hold of Matthew because I accidentally kicked him from the stream when I was moving things around.
Oh,
like graphics, and Matthew was supposed to stay, and I think I accidentally knocked him out. So he's texting Matthew right now to see if he can come back.
Okay.
Yeah, but Gabe, thank you so much. I just want to tell everybody, be like Mexican Iron Man and order your book, order your T-shirt. I think everything looks great.
Thank you.
I'm super excited. You want to show the covers one last time?
Yeah, if you want to make me big, I can show these. These are awesome. These are awesome. Thank you guys for making this real. That's a 110-page thrill ride. You're gonna love it. Excellent writing, beautiful, gorgeous art, and we're just thrilled that you guys support us. The books are real. You will get them on time. I know that's a bit of a problem in crowdfunding. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to criticize anyone, but I know I've heard from customers that's a concern because you're trusting us. You're trusting me with money up front, and will I deliver? And also the black and white art books, those came in. They're amazing. The last thing I'm waiting on is the foil covers. Those are limited to just 500. Go to bigmancomics.com. Support me. We'll make great art. We'll entertain the hell out of you. And, maybe we can make a positive impact in somebody's life. Thank you guys so much. Thank you all. I'm going to bounce. Paul, you're an improv master. Keep it going. I hope you're impressed with my improv because
you know what? It's actually shockingly close to my sketch. I'll send you a link to what Wow. But I mean, you know what? It's an obvious. You're going through the obvious things. I mean, there's. But I was really, really impressed. Your friend is also very, very
brilliant.
Good.
He's brilliant, dude. And we do that on our Wednesday action movie show too. We go into, he does a great Arnold voice, like a really good one. I'll start asking him questions. What was it really like on set? And we'll just make up all these fake scenarios, and it's really fun stuff. Thank you guys. Thank you to George's fan base here, the Slayer Nation. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate the support. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of the day with my wife and granddaughter and my kids. Talk to you later.
Thank you, Gabe. Thank you, Gabe, for coming.
Bye,
Gabe. And any of you in the panel, you can follow me on Twitter and DM me, and I will get you a copy.
I can't hear you.
I think he was saying about getting a free copy, and he lost his audio.
Yeah, I tapped the front of it. It has that thing.
Yeah. We're good.
But follow me on Twitter and give me your address or your P.O. box, and I will send you guys one of these. You guys in the panel, not everyone in the chat. You guys,
we have to buy thousands. We're going to buy thousands.
Right.
Everybody here, put a G in the chat for Gabe Eltaeb and an S for Dean Cain. We love you.
And definitely. But Mexican Army, you already bought it, so please don't refund it to get a free one from me.
No way. Are you kidding? I got to support my brother.
All right. Adios. Talk to you guys later. Enjoy your Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow, we're missing Matthew. I think something happened technically.
I'm not sure what happened. I think I might have either he thought that the show was over because of the time change, or I might have accidentally kicked him. I don't know. I did text him and I did ask him to come back, and maybe today is the day that, despite being a DEI, whatever ESG hire, I get fired.
What a day! But isn't this an amazing show? We had
you guys have plenty of good stuff to talk about.
So, little Platoon, Paul, what did y'all think about? So we can pick up where we left off before we jump into Shogun. I was looking through all the rules for Hollywood, right? For all the Oscars, for the DEI rules, and then it came out 48 hours ago that they have nothing but loopholes. I was like, wow, I'm not really shocked. So Hollywood's going around telling everybody, we have to be woke. We have to represent everybody. We have to be here so no one feels left out. And they put these whole rules together where every production has to have X amount of representation for underrepresented minority groups, blah, 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 blah. And then boom, what do we find out? We get the fact that there are loopholes. Under Academy's rules, a movie only has to meet 2 of the 4 requirements to be eligible for Best Picture consideration. That means a movie can skip A and B, representation, whether it's from the LGBT crew crowd or, again, any underrepresented minority group. A movie can skip A and B if it fulfills C and D. If a studio employs an army of minority interns and some of its marketing executives are also minorities, then any movie the studio puts out is automatically diverse under Academy rules.
That's like the Ford collective gas mileage average they've got to do with their entire fleet.
It's nuts. So they were looking at Oppenheimer specifically.
Yeah.
It's like, how did this get so many nominations? Because obviously the film for Hollywood had too many white people in it. Well, their marketing staff had enough minority interns in it.
It's always the way that I think Bill Clinton, when he was running for president once, got rumbled for going to an all-white golf club. And he was pinged for this because obviously that might seem a little bit racist. And the defense was something along the lines of, no, it's not an all-white golf club because most of the staff are black. And it's the same thing. As long as you can do it behind the scenes, you can pretty much get away with anything. I think the reason for the loopholes is that if you become actually strict with these kinds of things, the number of films you're going to have to exclude just because there is not a naturally diverse representation amongst all roles in film would rule out some of the biggest pictures that would likely to be nominated, and it would be obviously absurd. So they get the best of both worlds from their perspective. They get to be seen to be doing the right thing, even though that really means they don't have to change anything they're already doing.
I was offended in Oppenheimer when Edward Teller had a terrible Hungarian accent. It was horrible.
Only you, Paul.
I noticed it was terrible. Yes, Edward Teller. I can certainly do a Hungarian accent. Not a problem.
Well, how'd you think Einstein was pulled off?
A little too Italian.
A little too Italian, really? Well, okay, that's pretty interesting.
Wasn't the actor who played him Italian?
I always forget his name. He's been around forever and a day. I enjoy him, but I didn't think of it as a time. But I can see that point. It's just that once again we have Tinseltown selling tall tales. It's like, what's the purpose of them even pushing these rules out? Because here they are. I mean, I was going through them.
Well, they have already reduced them once already, because at one point they said all movies nominated for any kind of Oscar had to follow the check boxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then several years later, 2 years later, maybe little Platoon can correct me, but then they went only the best picture.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just who's the person who parks your car.
Your valet.
That's all we need.
I mean, but look at it. They go through general ensemble cast, right? They go through lead or significant supporting actors, and it's the same thing over and over. Pacific Islander, Southeast Asian, including Bangladeshi, Bhutanese, Indian, Nepali, Pakistani, and Sri Lankan. They go down to standard B, creative, leadership, and project team. When at the end of the day, it means nothing, because they're like, hire a few interns, get a couple of, Ivy League gender studies majors, and that's it.
It'd be easy to game in other ways as well. If you're, say, 1 in 1,024th Native American, then you can officially be called a Native American. So
that's
like,
a pretendian. We call that a pretendian.
Pretendian. I do that on every time I've ever been asked to fill out a diversity checkbox. YouTube asked me to do it for my second channel. I am every black race under the sun on my second channel. Because they said that it might impact the way it's going to be algorithmed, and lo and behold, the views went up. So yeah, just tick other and just lie. Yeah, they do.
You're not joking.
YouTube is
not
added.
Joking.
Oh wow.
It's interesting because they haven't done it on the main channel, but the second channel got a little banner on the top on the studio and said, yeah, please fill out this checklist. We're trying to improve the representation of diverse communities and make sure we're serving them all fairly. So please fill in your voluntary demographic information, and the headline beneath it is this will not affect how you appear in search results. Then you read the actual text and it turns out that it probably will. Or if it doesn't yet, then it certainly will in the future. So of course, yeah, you're going to go and tick as many boxes as you can. So if I were ever entering Hollywood, I would be at least a 10th Nigerian, and they wouldn't be able to tell me I'm not. So
okay, I'm great.
Well, Elon Musk is South African.
He is.
He is. Oh, let me tell you, I have a cousin of mine is South African, and he went once to get, I don't know if it was a loan or something. He went to the bank, and he said, because they had this big promotional poster, we have loans and programs and grants for underrepresented minorities. He's like, I'm from Cape Town. And the guy's like looking at him. He's like, yeah. He goes, I'm a citizen from Cape Town. He goes, I'm an African American. The guy's like, get out of here. He's like, no. He whipped out his back. He goes, I am an actual African American. And the guy's like, yeah, it doesn't apply to you. He's like, why? He's like, It reminded me of the movie Lethal Weapon. Number 2, he's like, "You're white." He's like,
"You blick."
Yeah, it's like, yeah, except it was reversed. But you're white. He's like, "I'm African." Doesn't matter.
I in high school, I had a white Jamaican friend, and we would go to jerk joints, and he could lay down the patois like he was from he was from Kingston, and the guys in the shop would just do a double take. I mean, he was good. It sounded wonderful. I like Jamaican patois. It's very musical.
What's a jerk joint?
Like jerk chicken.
Complete.
Sorry.
I was thinking gay bar at that point.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That was like, what?
You know what? I'm not going to fill out that form on my channel because I do not want any. I don't want any more Hungarian homosexuals watching my video.
You don't want to be represented, Paul?
No, well, it depends. You know. Yeah, you have to be picky.
Selective. I get
Selective.
you. But the point is it's. I mean, if we get past all the window dressing and basically look at it, that DEI has, like, Hollywood doesn't want to fight racism. They don't want to beat racism. No. They've turned it into a business. So they're never going to defeat it in one way. Like, why? You have too many industries now that are supporting it. How many companies are out there? I was looking at South by Southwest because Meghan Markle was there, and I wanted to see what the hell the nutwit had to say. And so, of course, they're never going to have her on a panel. So her charity, quote unquote, funded the whole thing, funded her panel. And she has this girl on there. I think her name was Erin Chung. And the first thing she says is, she goes, I am a professor of pop culture. Didn't know such thing existed. And that women are still not paid equivalent to men, especially in Hollywood.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, how about telling some good stories? And get everybody,
I wouldn't even, I'd just settle for not telling lies. They don't have to go away and tell stories afterwards. But if all you've got your credentials is, well, I can repeat the latest, or in fact, the least likely to die of all of the sort of the gender politics lies there is, then I think you're a pretty worthless human being. And if that's the kind of thing you're only really capable of doing, the odds of you being able to write a good story after that are pretty nil, given that it sounds like you've only got the job to begin with because you're good at towing the political line, which is what the Gabe was saying earlier about, the way in which actually the left probably suffers not as much or not in the same way as the right does from the deterioration in art and particularly in comedy. But it does suffer nonetheless because the priorities have completely shifted away from actually telling jokes that are funny because you'll just be accused of punching down. And that's strangling left-wing comics just as much as it's strangling right-wing comics. None of these people are actually artistic. They are all about policing political norms. They're basically just commissars at this point. And the sooner we get rid of them, the better. But they're very hard to get rid of. They're like knotweed. They just sort of grow and stay.
Yeah, they're stuck everywhere. But but they're turning into it. They've turned into a joke when they ignore their own rules. I mean, if all you got to do is hire an intern, they even say in one section, it doesn't matter if the person's white, as long as they have some minority representation in their background,
in their business,
in their background, like somewhere, background. Like they're talking about like Pocahontas. What's her name? Elizabeth Warren. I'm 1/1000th. But
I don't think she was anything. Actually, it turned out I'm not entirely certain.
Yeah, I think I have more Indian blood than she does.
Ultimately, the problem is that Hollywood is just showing itself as the hypocrites that they are, and I've already done several videos just on the fact that when anyone who includes diversity in DEI actually don't mean diversity, because diversity would mean not just race but ethnicity. So if you're in Europe, Finns don't think they're Germans, don't think they're Dutch, don't think they're British. I mean, why can't you have 4 white people that are of those ethnicities? And they are DNA checkable, right? But this is the logic. And I think this is more of an American disease. You can talk about this, George. Maybe better than either Platoon or I can. But this is uniquely an American disease where they ignore ethnicity as a diversity item. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I think they're exporting it. It's worse in this country. The United States collects more ethnicity data than we do in the United Kingdom, for example. So if you want to look at, say, wage tables for the highest earning groups and the lowest earning groups in the United States, it's broken down fairly admirably between not
That's
just
true.
continental groups or ethnic groups, but specific nationalities, which is always really interesting because you realize there's a higher income disparity between white people than there is between the white average and the black average, for example. So it's a good way of refuting the suggestion that everyone is racist against Nigerians, but not racist against Ghanaians, even though they're racist and couldn't really tell the difference. This country, though, you can't really do that. The NHS won't collect health statistics based on ethnicity, and there's no equivalent income thing. It's really just, it's black African, black West Indian, white British, and other. And that's kind of the broad categories that you get. So
Other.
we are even more reverse, I would have thought, than Americans are in the United Kingdom.
Well, I don't think anybody wants to be just, included, white, black, whatever. I mean, we had for many years, for about 10 years, a Trinidadian, sorry, a Trini, who lived right next door to us. She absolutely hated being lumped in with the black population. That she didn't, it was just, she was black and she hated it. It's just not something that she, every time she heard about it on the news, things like that, she would complain that, this is nonsense. We're from all over the place, right? And everybody is different.
I'm tired of all of those hyphens personally. I want to be American, Canadian, British. This whole nonsense of representation it doesn't unite anybody. It just divides us all.
No, but it divides on purpose. There's an industry. There's a division industry. That's what has to be killed.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why I was saying in Hollywood, all their talk about we want to defeat racism. No, you don't. You want to turn it into a money machine. And that's what they've done. How many movies now? Ava DuVernay, she has that organization. I think it's called A24 or A42, where it's a catalog of minority actors, primarily black, plus all the below the line staff for any film, sound, lighting, costume, wardrobe, blah, blah, blah. And it's basically they push it to Hollywood saying, hey, before you hire anyone, take a look at A24. Because you have to fill the positions with these people. I'm like, how about just doing your damn job? That's it. Be the best. We'll hire the best of anyone. I've never heard of a company or an industry anywhere in the world that wanted to put superficial, shallow kind of exterior, skin color instead of actual talent. Again, you wouldn't go to the plumber to do your heart because the person is from Nigeria.
Unless you want to get a discount.
So that's why I was a little bit shocked that we go from the diversity, and I love everything that Dean Cain and Gabe Eltaeb are doing, and the way Matthew was speaking. We have so many people who are fighting this culture war, but each in their own unique way. Gabe and Dean are doing it from this very positive. We're just going to create something. The same way that you are doing, Chato, with your channel, the same way Little Platoon is doing. You're bringing people information in an entertaining way that enlightens and opens their eyes.
Well, we hope so.
All right, but no, you do it. You stick the landing every time. It's like I was looking at Platoon's Madam Web video. That was, what was Madam Web? Yeah. It was, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I don't know how you go on for so long. I'm like, I got to try that one time.
It's amazing.
And then you get Dean Cain. But I will say that I have been enjoying Shogun. I don't know if you saw that, Paul. Have you started?
I've not seen it. I just finished watching because I promised to the Last Airbender, the live Last Airbender.
You watched the live Last Airbender?
I finished it because I did a green light, red light, a green light, yes or no on the first episode, and so I watched the whole series and say, okay, how did my verdict?
And verdict. Because I watched the first half of the first episode. Yeah,
it's boring and tedious.
Okay. Did you see that, Little Platoon, the Last Airbender?
Yeah, I tapped out after episode 2, I think it was. So wow. I'm glad to see that it's not got any better and I'm not missing anything. But hey, it's getting season 2 and season 3, isn't it? So mediocrity rises to the top as usual.
But I try to explain to people the green light, yes, no is it is an industry construct. It's not a personal is it good or bad. I tell people the joke that there's no quality knob on the television set, just a volume knob. That's the old joke. And the thing is, as a network executive, to keep your job, you just wanted to get a show that stayed on the air. That's really the only thing that was required. No, the fact that it was good was just a lucky bonus. So really, from a green light, yes, no. What's the rating? From my perspective is, how were the ratings? Did they dip? And yeah, they got another season. So from green light, yes, no. I was right.
Right, but was it good?
No, but that's got nothing to do with the green light.
No,
yes,
I
no.
know that. No, I get that. But that's why I'm asking separately. Was it good after the green light, red light? Good.
Oh.
Good quality. Like, did it engage you?
No.
Oh, that's what I wanted to know. Because it's like, I'm going to read these super chats real quick because we got a couple of big ones, a couple of big gifts. And then I want to jump into talking a little bit about Shogun.
I want to hear Shogun. I hear it's great.
Okay, we have, I think where we are. Fletcher, pull up there we go. Man of War 665, Neighbor of the Beast for $6.65. Don't listen to the lies. Eric K. Superman is Governor Jerry Brown. Really? I didn't know that, Eric. You should have told me your secret. And then we have Good Logic for $2. Really? Black sounds kind of racist. Yeah, it's the same way when they told him you're white. Same thing. Just racism. Jim Alaska. Jim! My friend from Las Vegas, who's actually from Alaska, I met him there, gifted 20 George the Giant Slayer memberships. I'm going to get all those buttons that Gary has, and I'm going to figure them all out so we can clap. But thank you, my friend. It is always wonderful to see you here. And please go pick up your membership. Jim so kindly gifted for the channel, because in 2 weeks, we're going to have our membership live stream. Tender Warrior 68 gifted 10 George the Giant Slayer memberships. Thank you, Tender Warrior. You're now joining Jim. See, all this support, I have to tell you, I haven't thanked you enough. The memberships, the super chats, it's like all that support keeps the channel going, keeps the lights on. It allows us to do the best that we can do. And I'm really appreciative of you and the amazing mods we have here. Eric K., Fletcher Williams, Lord Cloth, beautiful people. So I watched the original Shogun, this dates me a little bit, with Richard Chamberlain and Toshiro Mifune.
Yep.
I loved it when I was a kid. I just ordered it because I was talking to Robert, who was going to be here, but because daylight savings time, it's thrown everybody off whack, me included. I woke up this morning, I'm like, oh, I got like 3 hours before the show. I'm going to I'm like, holy shit, it's 2 hours. Yeah, anyway, so I watched it. It's now been released on Blu-ray. I got it. And I turn on and I see, I'm going to butcher his name, Hiroyuki, I think it is, Sanada. The Japanese guy was in Bullet Train. He's been in everything. Helix from Sci-Fi. Yes, Last Samurai. You see him in the intro clip fighting, training with Tom Cruise. And he's an amazing actor. But he's also the producer. And so I watched the first episode and I really enjoyed it. I think it's a hidden gem, and I'm now finding out that it's one of Hulu's most watched series ever. And it kind of shocks me. It's like, on one hand, Disney makes crap after crap after crap, and then they're supporting the channel that they own to create Shogun. What did you think of it, Platoon?
I've only seen the first episode so far, and the original run in the 80s is comfortably before my time, so it was completely new to me. But from episode 1, you can see why I think it's got the reception that it has. I mean, the production values are generally high anyway. The fidelity to detail is high. You can tell that they've actually done their research, and that they quite faithfully portray the world as it is, as opposed to modern people's readings of the world back then, which is a really tricky thing to do if you're going back to 17th century, sort of early 1600s Japan. There's not a huge amount you can rely on. There's a lot of textual stuff, but most people were illiterate back then. It's hard to get guaranteed extensive histories to draw upon. But apparently, they did a huge amount of research. It tells in everything from the costume design to the weapon design, and they are just interested in telling the story, from what I can glean, as the story was originally told, as opposed to trying to insert all the modern usual political angles to it. So I'm looking forward to carrying on with it. It seems like a really good watch. As for it being a surprise whether Disney was involved, I don't know how long this thing's been in production for. And I don't know exactly how involved Disney is in the production of it either. It might just be a licensing thing that they happen to have access to it. But it seems too good to be a Disney thing. Let's put it that way.
That's what I'm saying. It's been in production for 23 months, I believe, when I checked. But Disney gave the go-ahead for Hulu to do it and FX in some kind of partnership. I don't understand exactly how, because but my point is when you have the interns, like as Robert explained it to me once, he goes, you have to understand, Mr. George, it's like the scripts that all come in, unless somebody gives it directly, says to a producer, to a friend of a friend, agents, and and then pass it on. He goes, you have a lot of interns who read these scripts that come in, and they're kind of like the gateway, the barrier. And when you have those who are woke or social justice warriors, they're gonna filter through only what connects to them. They're not gonna pass everything good. So I'm wondering, how does a project like this move forward? Because when you're listening to Hiroyuki, he was saying in one of the interviews that he had a little bit of pushback in the beginning for pillowing, for example. There's a term that they're going to use in the show called pillowing. It's basically their term for sex. And the way that they're showing the women how they were more subjective. They were under the men, respected, but you had the geishas. And they didn't really want to show it. And he's like, well, you can't make this series without showing it historically accurate. He goes, this is how it was. And so they had a lot of arguments, except guess what? It got made. And they stayed true to it. And funny enough, the director of it is also a director on Rings of Power. But when you listen, yeah, that's the thing. Because, okay, Rings of Power season 2, I'm working on a video right now for it. Their first agenda item for Pascal was that season 2 have only female directors. Didn't matter if they knew fantasy, have any experience, have made anything, just female directors. So one of them happens to be this woman. Listen to her interviews for Shogun. She sounds like a real director. Listen to her for her 30-second talk about Rings of Power. She sounds like a soapbox hack. And it's just odd, the different faces that they wear and how the same person can create something that's meaningful, entertaining, and yet be involved in a production like Rings.
Let me interrupt you there. In TV,
Please.
The showrunner is God.
Okay.
In movies, the director is.
Okay.
That's the difference.
So in TV, who overrides the showrunner? Is the executives or
maybe the producers of it, but the showrunner generally is the main executive producer also on the show. There's not a lot of people that can override the showrunner, or it could be. I mean, they're going to get a lot of network notes.
Okay,
but the showrunner is God in TV, and in movies, the director is God. So you could have a very good person who knows how to set up shots, do all the mechanical work, talk to the DOP. I mean, the DOP has a huge effect also on the quality of, it's teamwork. You're talking with each other all the time. What's the best way to do this? And in TV, you've got a lot less time generally to shoot something. Although with regards to streaming, they get, they don't have to just cram in the usual 5 to 10 minutes per day of shooting that a network television has to do. So that's how you could get it. That's how. So to answer your question, she could be a very good
director.
Yeah.
And she's just following her orders. Okay, that kind of makes sense.
There's the script. You do what's on the script. You get the best performance out of the actors that you possibly can. You don't have a lot of time for multiple takes. You move on.
So we come back to what we talked about the last time you were here, which is, why would someone like that put their integrity on the line for a project like Rings of Power, which lost 63% of its audience base from the premiere to the finale? Every Tolkien fan around the world, the 100 million plus, despise it because it butchers it. Why would that person risk damage to their career in the public sphere by joining that production?
Well, how much does the public really know who directs a show?
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe we know more about that than the average person. That's a good insight.
Who directed all the Rockford Files?
Oh God, I don't remember.
Who directed MASH?
Oh, actually,
many. I mean, it's a huge.
Yeah. But who was the first one for the movie? That's what I was thinking.
Well, that's
the movie. I remember the movie. I'm just trying to think.
Yeah, starts with A. He also did The Player.
Darth Plato. Rings of Power is still a thing. It's coming back for season 2.
It is.
But I mean, pardon me.
Oh no, yeah, it is coming back this year, isn't it? Season 2. I think. I mean, whether or not the director would even see it as a risk, though, to be assigned to that project is debatable. I mean, we're talking about Shogun, which is an unexpected hit from a relatively small network in, I think it's FX that does it first, and then it moves over to Disney. And fair enough, it's going particularly well, and that's only going to benefit them. But from a perspective of signing on, that's a job that I assume you take without necessarily much passion, but it's a good, fairly good starting point to get into. But then if you're told, hey, Amazon, biggest player in streaming, or certainly one of the biggest players in streaming, is putting the most money it's ever put into anything behind this adaptation of one of the biggest cultural properties ever. Do you want to direct one? Are you going to say no to that? I don't know if you would. The fact that it turns out to be a disaster after the fact can't be known before the fact. And also, there's a degree to which I think people are insulated from the backlash to the things that they produce. With something like Rings of Power, it's not actually meaningfully adapting a story that's already been told. They have a huge amount more leeway to actually tell a story that they think they've created that's brilliant. Everyone knows it's shit, but they think it's great. They've got creative control in the way that simply adapting a book that's already been written and a TV show that's already been done and basically playing it beat for beat the same is not giving you the same creative freedom. So the combination of creative potential and money and prestige that go behind Rings of Power, I think would be an immense lure to almost anybody.
Really, because I could see that for the premiere season, but after the premiere season, I would be leery. But I get your point. So that comes back to, because y'all missed the first part. I really wanted you to hear that. I had posed the question to Dean Cain and Matthew Marsden if they've ever seen anything in their Hollywood experience like this, because I was stunned. So I was waiting for y'all to come here to talk about it again. So Elizabeth Hurley's son just wrapped on his production called Strictly Confidential. He puts out an Instagram post basically talking about how great the film was and they want to worship Elizabeth Hurley. And he goes down here. Where is it? He goes down here. So he films a sex scene with his mother. She gets nude. But the boys stayed there. They didn't get another crew. Now this follows,
But he was directing it.
He was directing it, but he's directing his mother,
right?
And he's talking how phenomenal it is to direct his mother in a lesbian sex scene while she's nude. This follows 2 months prior, right, where you had Ethan Hawke directing his daughter in a full-on sex scene. Ethan Hawke was so comfortable directing graphic sex scenes of his daughter, Maya. He kept asking everybody, well, what's the problem? And so you could see Dean Cain's face, and Matthew's kind of like it's like they had heard about it, not heard about this specific thing, but it's like seedy. He's like, well, that's why I left Hollywood. I'm, in Nevada. But I never thought it would go that far. A father filming his daughter.
I would never do that.
Right. Who would? That's my point. Where there seems to be no more line left. I'm still shocked. You can tell trying to talk about it. I was like, how do I broach this without sickening the audience? Because it weirded me out. I called up Gary that day when I found the articles. I was like, okay, guys, brother. I was like, this doesn't make sense to me, dude. He was like, holy shit. He goes, what is that? Say that again. So I said, I'm sending you the links. And he's like, well, it's Hollywood.
They know that Oedipus is meant to be a tragedy, right?
Yeah, that's my point. That's why I want to hear what Platoon and you thought, Paul.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I did the speech, obviously, for my daughter's wedding a couple of years ago. And I think she's like 28 at the time. And I started off, my speech started off, as a father, the one thing you never want to know is that your daughter's having sex. And
of course,
just from my own personal needs, I don't ever want to know. So if anyone talks about it, you, Ben, just say, no, you've never had sex with her. Thank you. I would really appreciate it. So I can't even conceive of directing my daughter in a nude scene. That's horrific. I'm sorry. Now, the Elizabeth Hurley and son, that's interesting because number one, she's very comfortable in the nude, being a model. Mm-hmm. All you have to do was see her in that Austin Powers movie. and she was certainly nude with all that fruit and stuff things that she was doing. I don't think she was secretly bandaged up with skin-colored leggings. The woman went for it, and I give her full credit. I thought that is fantastic. Good for her. So you got a mom who's comfortable in the nude.
But it's his mom. You just said it, mom.
Look,
it's his mom. It's not us looking at Elizabeth Hurley going, "Wow, that's Elizabeth Hurley." He came out of her. Listen what he says in his Instagram post. Damien wrote, "I want to worship Elizabeth Hurley, who during the making of my first ever short film back in 2010 when I was 8, promised me she'd be in my first feature. True to her word, the minute this film was greenlit, Mama dropped everything and raced out to the beautiful Caribbean to help. Working together was a dream. This has genuinely been the most incredible experience, both professionally and personally, and for my Oedipus complex." The dude is out there.
Yeah, but wait a second. If you're a mom and you love your son, or your daughter, you're going to do it.
In the buff.
Yeah.
Okay, he's like, okay, get your tongue over here to mom. Now.
This is a lesbian love scene.
Yeah, I said
there's no jiggy jig poke poke.
Yeah, but there's jiggy jig lick lick.
Well, I'm all in for that.
Except it's son going.
Maybe not with your own parents. Though would be.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's a line too far.
There is a kind of, I don't know whether it's fair to call it a movement. I went to visit. I've got a fair few quite left wing friends because I like arguing with people, so I like to keep a few of them around.
Do you have any left? I don't.
One or two. They've mostly disowned me by this point, but I try to keep a few of them around. I went to visit one at some point last year, and he introduced me to loads of his friends who were also very, very left. And we got talking about all these various things, and I was having great fun being the person everybody really fucking hated because that's great. But I was right, so it makes it even more fun. But it got onto the subject of they call it sex positivity, right?
Yes.
And this idea of being, are you sex positive? Which was the question was actually posed directly to me in exactly those words. And I don't think I'd really come across the term before. Or if I had, I didn't really know what it meant. So I said, well, when you say sex positive, what do you mean? And the basic idea is that that's just that there should be no boundaries at all about depictions of sex. Attitudes to sex should be all positive and celebratory. We should do away with taboos and we should do away with stigmas, and we should just champion and celebrate our sexuality because it's a vital part of who we are.
Aren't they also map enthusiasts?
Well, that's the point. There's no limiting principle, right? So theoretically, yes, you can get intellectually from position A, sex positivity, to position B, whatever you want position B to be, and celebrate it because that's kind of the idea. That actually wasn't the first thought that came to mind. My first thought was just, no, actually, I think we should have basic limits on privacy because privacy is quite important. I don't want to know, and I don't want to have to see what you're doing in private on the streets. I don't like seeing gay people pissing on each other at the front of pride parades. I don't want to watch people having sex in the street. And I also think we should probably have a few taboos about directing your own parents or children in sex scenes. But I imagine it's seen as this daring and transgressive thing, and it's an embodiment of sex positivity to break down that taboo. And so that's one of the reasons that it's more likely to happen in Hollywood than anywhere else. It's seen as a kind of extension of progressivism, because progressivism is really just this nihilistic tearing down of every boundary, because there's no point having any boundaries anymore. I think it's pretty gross, and I like that we might be maybe moving toward reestablishing some of those boundaries. But
well, I think we also need a bit of mystery too.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly. But we need boundaries. Come on,
we need boundaries. But we need and mystery is good because it's anticipatory. To me, I've spent a lot of time in Europe. I've spent a lot of time in the United States, and it's interesting how Europeans generally know how to flirt, whereas the Americans don't. They leer.
Oh man, I never thought about it that way.
And so this is why you get Hooters as an embodiment of what sexuality is in the States, whereas in Brazil, every single banking billboard has a topless woman in it.
Right, but not your mom or daughter.
No.
That's the thing. I understand about the sexuality that, that's in movies. It's the context. He's not supposed to be.
Well, I did write a sketch once where a bunch of guys asked one guy to come over, and they were in the office, and they said, Bill, we were just watching OnlyFans. Isn't that your daughter?
So
it's going to happen. Like it's impossible not to happen, right?
That's why I was so thrilled when I saw Shogun. So you're enjoying it so far, then, Little Platoon, the first episode. Like it's something that you're going to pick up and go, I'm going to try the second one. I usually give something 3 episodes.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, the relative lack of sex scenes was one of the things I liked about it.
Good.
Is quite apart from any incestuous connotations. I just think that the sex scenes are just proliferating anyway because we don't have very many interesting stories to tell. So what can we do? What's the cheapest way of keeping people's focus and attention? Tits, sex, all the rest of it. Sex position, Game of Thrones made very popular. If you've got a long, boring piece of narration and exposition you need to do, at least have somebody fucking in the background because that makes it fun. I think there's only, from what I remember, 1 sex scene in the first episode of Shogun, and it's reasonably tasteful because it actually has more to it than base titillation, which is a good sign. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to carrying on with it.
Well, that's good. That's exactly how I felt. I've been enjoying it. I find that it is well written. I enjoy the acting. I try not to, especially doing a show that I'm enjoying, I try not to look at any of the actors' interviews. I don't want to know if they're woke or not. It just impacts me. I just want to hear what they have to say about the characters. And it's looking pretty good so far, which is odd when you consider the fact that they were getting a lot of flack, which is going to lead right into our last topic. They got a lot of flack for not having enough female representation in the show.
Did they?
Yeah. And then we have this report that just came out from the Women's Media Center, their investigation about gender and non-acting Oscar nominations, but the report goes into more how many women in what roles and what nominations and who gets what. And it goes, women made modest year-to-year gains in the non-acting nominations for the 2024 Academy Awards, with 32% going to women, matching the previous high set in 2021. But even with an all-time high for women, men still overwhelmingly dominate with 68%, according to new Women's Media Center report. So they're trying to continue to push this, not parity, I would say, but they want to have more female to male representation. They want to have it somewhere around, I think in one report I read 2 to 1, because they're saying to make up for all the past transgressions.
Well, I would just like to ask them, would they like to allow more men into grade school teachers as grade school teachers? There's almost no men in grade school.
Okay. So are you seeing this as, if I start laughing, I'm just not going to stop. So I'm trying. So do you see this as a sign of things are getting better, like in the beginning of the conversation, where everyone was talking about how Hollywood has destroyed everything, right? And now they're rebuilding it again. What you're doing, Paul, Little Platoon.
Look, there's let's call it unconscious bias. There's no question that Hollywood was a white male dominated institution for many, many years. They weren't necessarily doing it on purpose. And I think it has more to do with, rather than lobbying, it's calling attention to good people. Hey, there's just some things that need to change because it makes sense to have it change. Then you work on the pool of talented individuals, not just automatically giving somebody a job because they are of some underrepresented group. You work on the pool, because it's like in programming, and I'm going to make a racist remark here. I'm sorry, but if if I've got 1,000 Asian people to choose from, and they're all men, and I've got only 10 women from Toronto, that are available to hire as a programmer, which pool is going to have the more available qualified individuals? At some point, you have to work on the size of the pool. You don't just give everybody a job. No one talks about that. So have more training, do more movies, get more people on these independents, things like that. Give people opportunities to do their own movies, things like, that kind of stuff. And then start bringing,
how about just hiring whoever is the best?
No, but you have to give them a chance to become the best.
No. What I mean,
the entire system has to be there.
Oh, no, what I mean is you shoot a movie, you have this industry, and if 9 out of 10 men want to be in it, but only 1 out of 10 are women, That's
then,
that's the
yes.
reality.
And that's a function too, is how many people from any group actually want to be in that business. How many women actually want to be key grips?
Or ADR or be involved. I'm just saying it feels so artificial now. It feels like
it is artificial, and that's the problem, because Paul's absolutely right. I mean, you need to work on these things from pretty much the ground up, and basically from grade school onwards. If you actually want to affect any meaningful change, you can't parachute people into positions of power and authority they're not qualified for, and they don't have the cultural knowledge of, and they don't have all of the many things that you might pick up as a person interested in film, which has just come to you seemingly naturally, tend to be the product of your family environment, of your educational environment. And you can't compensate for that just by saying, well, here's a quota, put 50% of women in the top roles. That doesn't work. The argument for putting 50% of women in the top roles is that if you see more visible, successful women in movies, then maybe more girls in school will go into, say, like filmmaking or whatever. So they might, in the end, earn their way to the top. That's the argument that's usually made for it. I think it tends to fall apart pretty much in the same way as something like affirmative action does, because it basically is just affirmative action, which is that if you put people who are not qualified for a particular role into a role they are not qualified for, they will fail more likely than not. And failing at the top job is worse than being successful at the next best job. So you shouldn't be putting, say, black students in Harvard if they aren't qualified for it, because they'll drop out of Harvard when they would have qualified from the next best university and got a career, and over time built up the kind of cultural knowledge and skill set which would then enable them to naturally progress to Harvard. The same thing basically applies to filmmaking as well. I think the more times you put women directors in charge of things they are simply not capable of doing, which we're seeing with Marvel at the moment, and the more failures and the more popular failures are known about, and the more they will probably be disenchanted by the idea. Young girls looking at female directors getting absolutely piled on because they've done a really shit job with Madam Web are not going to be more likely to go into filmmaking, are they? So it's a slower process of change, accepting that change needs to happen. Work at it slowly and accept it will take a few decades, and then in the long run, people will fall where their interests lie. But don't try and shoehorn these people into jobs that they are not capable of doing.
And I think that's the change. The change is that at one point we weren't conscious that this would be a good thing. Now we are conscious about it. How we go about it, that's a different subject.
I got you. I like Platoon's term of, parachuting them in. It doesn't work. South by Southwest is going on for the next, I think it's 8 days left. But on Friday, on International Women's Day, they had a panel, and one of the panelists turned around and said, our biggest problem used to be the parity of pay in Hollywood. And one woman was like, yeah, it still is. But they go, we have a bigger problem. How women are now viewed in television, particularly. They're like, do you know in the US that if you watch a mom, you see this shot go into her home and her kitchen is all done and everything she cooks is perfect for her children, and she's just having a beautiful day. They go, that doesn't represent women today. The single mom who has to work, who has to go after her career while taking care of the kids, the house is a wreck. And I'm like, it's like, does everything come back to social engineering with them? How about, I just want a great story. That's it. Great story, wonderful characters, suck me in. But they want to turn everything into a power play. That's how I see it.
Well, Hollywood has been addicted to the single mother for decades.
Okay. They were talking about the Mary Tyler Moore show. That's how far
that's
back
long dead.
But they want that back. They want that. Yeah, they want Mary Tyler Moore back. They want Burnett. They want all of that. What was her name? They mentioned one where Flo from the diner. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah,
they want all that because they're saying that too many women now, they look like they live in these perfect homes and they have the perfect kids and everything.
No, you need a variety.
Right, but variety for story's sake, right?
Yeah.
That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about so we can change society. So it was
it's that then that goes back to what you're using those roles for, because you can do the single woman struggling in society story, and it's been done in a number of different ways, some of which are popular. I mean, Bridget Jones is incredibly popular, largely among women, because it reflects that, and it's a life experience which is common to a lot of people. And if you have a shared life experience, then you're going to attract quite a large audience if you depict it faithfully, humorously. But it all serves the story, whether or not you like Bridget Jones's style of humor. At least it's there because that's the point of it. By contrast, you'll often get the ideal family life with the ideal happy woman will actually be a staple of male-led film entertainment, because that story tends to be the man is protecting the household. Here's the happy idyllic life. Oh no, something's gone wrong and it's under threat, and now he has to go and defend this happy idyllic life. It's a basic sort of modern version of a hero journey. You have to have something that you're defending, and a perfectly happy wife is one of those things. I think women are probably overrated and don't deserve protecting in that way, but some people seem to think they are.
Right, they were blaming everything on the patriarchy. That's why women are in the film.
You go you slay the dragon, you do all the fighting, and then you go home and they just complain at you. So why am I bothering?
Listen, I have a question for both of you. Have you ever seen a movie with Frances McDormand where she was playing anything, any perfect woman? I mean, in a perfect household, that everything was
no. Right. So basically, that's what we want to get back to. So before we start, I read the last super chats and we start to wrap up, because Platoon wasn't here. He wasn't here last week. I'm curious, what'd you think of Dune?
I admire Dune. Dune it's a really impressive film. I think it's beautifully shot. And I think it's always bad. Whenever I start talking about Dune, I always start sounding really negative about it, which is a shame, because I did really enjoy it. It's just that it's slightly empty, I think, in the ways that really matter. So you get all these people who are now coming around comparing it to The Two Towers.
Oh God!
Back. I think it should be enough to say that this is a really good film, a really impressive film that does a pretty good job as an adaptation, with important qualifications. It does a pretty good job. But where it is lacking is in character. Where it is lacking is in the fact that Frank Herbert's world is so tightly connected. Everything, plot, theme, character, world building, are all there to convey a particular point. So if you change those things, you risk doing an immense amount of damage to each of those components in turn. The changes that are made, which make a lot of the impressive characters in the book quite shallow, like the Harkonnens, make it less compelling. And the change they make to Cheney at the end, I think, shifts the entire point of what that narrative and that character is supposed to be. So I think it's a brilliant film to watch, and I really did enjoy it. I just think it probably works better as a film on its own terms than it does as an adaptation, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. It's just the first film, and the only way I can explain it is it's the first film I've watched in 10 years that I both feel like I had a cinematic experience, that I enjoyed a lot of it, but I feel conflicted about it. Like, there are parts of it I just couldn't stand.
Yeah.
And I haven't really felt that for a film in a long time. I usually love something and it has a few bad pieces, but I'm like, overall, I enjoyed it. I don't care. But this one, he sucked me in for a while. But the Chani storyline, the way, because it's much different than the book. I've read the book, the first 4 several times, and I just didn't like that.
Hollywood would never accept the dutiful.
Yeah, she's supposed to be that, Paul.
Yeah, but that's societally, she accepts it immediately. She doesn't. So they would never accept that, because everything is you got to have the strong, woman with her own mind, things like that. And I mean, she does have her own mind in the book.
She does, but she's there for Paul 100%.
The last line in the book, I think, is from the Lady Jessica to Cheney, explaining that the most powerful women in history are the concubines.
We will be known as wives.
Exactly. And the idea that you have to, the only way to depict a strong, powerful, independent-minded woman is to have them say effectively "fuck you" to the hero and go off on their own actual journey, as opposed to saying no. The whole story of Dune is really a story of the concubines. These women have immense amounts of power.
But the modern Hollywood only understands the superficial.
But then you can't write great stories understanding the superficial.
That is just way too deep, way too much for them to. Their brains would explode. I think if the movie, with all its flaws, had just stuck the landing, I think it would be a more memorable experience. I'm going to watch it a bunch of times, because I completely got immersed in it. I think Little Platoon describes it absolutely perfectly. Like, I couldn't describe it better myself, and I will be watching it again. But I remember this quote from Liza Minnelli. I saw her talking live, and it's funny that she mentioned it. And they said, well, what happens when you do a bad show? She said, I bow longer. And I can't imagine Liza Minnelli ever having done a bad show. But she goes, whenever I've done a crappy show, I keep bowing. And I don't stop bowing until everyone in the audience is standing up and they think they've had a good time.
That's a good point.
I force the standing ovation. I don't stop until I get the standing ovation, and then everyone leaves happy. That to me is the analogy for Dune, is that I just wish they had gotten the standing ovation ending and or like just nailed that, and then we would have been fine.
I also didn't like Paul's reluctance. I will have to say it's continuous. He was skeptical in the book, but he didn't take it to this whole level of, this has just Bene Gesserit propaganda. He knew that in the book, but he still embraced it.
And now you're getting down the rabbit hole, George.
I know, but
he has to reject it in the book. So, I mean, that's one of the things that's missing. I tend to describe the Villeneuve films as Dune light, and most of the essential beats are kind of there, but a lot of the undergirding stuff is missing. Like, Paul's character in particular, I think, is much shallower than he would even need to be in a film adaptation. You don't have, say, the death of a son to actually prompt not actually his triumphant rise at the end of the film, but his reluctance and his effectively, he goes about what he goes about because he's trying to constrain the Fremen jihad. And it's only after his experiences, particularly the loss of his son, the near kidnapping and near death of his sister, when he says, I actually can't control this. I have to just it just has to happen. And it's a sad thing.
It is, because
we don't have much of that in the film, I don't think. So.
Well, no, because he compressed the timeline so much. I like the pacing better in David Lynch's film. Again, I've watched it twice already, Dune, Villeneuve's. I enjoy it, but there's just aspects to it I don't like. But so thank you for that. And now I got Dune and Shogun. So far, I enjoy Shogun.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, compared to, I know we are saying fairly negative things about it, but that's a good choice to have as to what to watch next. Right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
It's still, if you got Dune 2 or Shogun, then you're going to go away and have a pretty good time watching either of those things.
Absolutely. I can't say it. It's like every time I say it, it's what you just said. I feel like I'm being negative. I'm not. I enjoyed the movie. I love the movie. The only two characters I really didn't like is Christopher Walken. I love Christopher Walken. I don't know what the hell he was doing there. It just, I like Jose Ferrer and David Lynch is better. He embodied to me.
Walken was really,
I don't know why he was
out of place.
But and then Shogun. So I got two things to look forward to. I hope Villeneuve does Dune Messiah, and I think that's great. Let's get now to our super chats. Fletcher, do you have them? Okay, we got Siphon gifted 5 Georgia Giant Slayer memberships. Thank you, Siphon. We keep building Slayer Nation.
That's right.
We're going to be able to affect more change. Get your voice out there.
Them off. Justin Martins.
Yep, $20. Modesty is too underrated these days. Instant gratification has become too normalized. I completely agree, and that's why I can't stand what Elizabeth Hurley.
I don't like sex scenes anymore because all the men shave their chests.
You want to go back to the 70s?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Yeah. He took us, and then he went the other way. It's Canoe Man. He knocked us with that damn canoe. Justin Barnes for $10. Pretty sure I would give up certain essential body parts to have Little Platoon narrate my life as an inner monologue. There you go, Platoon.
I should offer that as a service. Yeah,
I'm going to hire Little Platoon for my eulogy.
Have you written it?
I'll do it tomorrow.
There you go. We have to proofread it. It's going to be something fun. All right. Thank you, everybody. We had an amazing show. Again, to the mods, Eric K., Lord Thoth, Fletcher Williams, and the incredible Mexican Iron Man who's producing, and my brother Sindek, who edited those great pieces together into a video for Dean Kame and Gabe Eltaeb's comic, All American Lawman. Go check it out at Big Man Comics. Buy it, support them, and fight the good fight. And thank you again for the super chats and all the amazing memberships. They help us to make more videos and keep going. Remember, to win every battle and stay true to yourself, all you have to do is remember that we never bow down, we never bend the knee. Always forward.